right over. We could get lost in a purple maze. We could break a little time. Calm down like the ocean waves. Calm down like the ocean waves. Hold your body like mine. Let me love you like a woman. Let me hold you like a baby. Let me shine like a diamond. Let me be your one-time beauty queen. You don't know the world like I do. You don't know how good people can be. Let me love you like a woman. Let me take you to infinity. Oh, baby, oh, take you to infinity. Oh, baby, don't fucking leave, yeah. I need you. Don't fucking leave, yeah. Let me love you like a woman.
What's up, everybody? Hope everyone is doing well. Today we're going to go over a little Destiny versus Dinesh D'souza from the recent DebateCon. Surprised they're already rematching again so soon. They debated not too long ago. Yo, what's up, MSU? Welcome in. I was getting my little chat highlight thing working again. It's still cut off on the end, and it won't let me resize the window, but I'll worry about that tomorrow or something. It's good enough. Good enough. All right, I guess we're just going to kick this off because we got 2 hours to get through, and it's going to take a while. So
there's a reason why you guys can't point to any court documents, any filings, anything that demonstrates the truthfulness of anything. It's why the only guys that defend this idea are the crazy My Pillow dude who sells pillows for $14.88 on his website, Mike Lindell. Yeah. Do you think that there's a possibility that he might make himself endearing to you and your family because he knows that you'll go out and you'll make good propaganda pieces for him? Did that ever cross your mind?
Well, by that logic, he should be nice to you also. This is our second time debating, and what frustrates me in debating you is that I think you have the wrong self-conception that you are somehow presenting facts. And you will use terms...
Basically, every single thing you're saying is just not true.
Not true?
But, I mean...
This is like Vogue magazine saying, Michelle Obama is the most beautiful woman in America. Right? Everybody knows it's false.
What do we elect Trump for to drain the swamp then? If you're going to tell me at the end of the day none of this stuff can be found or prosecuted or charged or anything.
Have you seen any caravans since Trump took office?
Nobody wants to come to the United States since Trump took office.
Thank you.
Love seeing somebody on YouTube. Let's go.
Special thanks to our sponsor, Maine First Project, fighting to put Mainers first. Check out mainefirstproject.org. Huge thanks to Revival of the Anointed's Rule. And on your left, Stephen Bonnell, better known as Destiny, is a pioneering political live streamer renowned for his rapid-fire debate style and extensive experience debating across the political spectrum. Please join me in welcoming Destiny. With that, I've got the timer set. And then reminder, gentlemen, you'll just have to take your microphone up to the podium with you and put it in that stand as well once you go up. And we'll have Dinesh going first with his 5-minute opening. And I'll start that on your first word, Dinesh. And then also, yep, go ahead and pull it out of the standing. Also, just a friendly reminder.
I saw somewhere that I heard Matt Dillhunty talking that he's refuses to do debates on Modern Day Debate anymore. I think it's just because of that Andrew Wilson thing, where he had the debate with Andrew Wilson, and then Andrew changed the debate topic, I guess, so that it was Andrew just conceded Matt's worldview and then wanted to talk about or to debate transgender stuff, and so Matt walked out.
Reminder to you guys, if you can hold it about.
I guess maybe they got into an argument, because this guy, I guess, I don't know, paid to fly Matt out or something, or
about an inch from your mouth.
Like you said, MSU. There's a lot of burnt bridges around Matt. Is he the common factor? I don't know, but Toskers and Yoskers, yo, what's up? Hulk Hobbs in the house.
That's what's giving us the best audio.
What you got, Arya?
Thank you very much. Delighted to be here. Looking forward to this debate.
Wacko.
Let's talk about Trump, because I want to make the argument that Trump is the pulverizer, he's the transformer, he's the bull in the china shop. His great function has been to expose the rotted interior of American politics. A rotted interior aimed at ripping off the taxpayer to the benefit of a small privileged...
He's got some people problems. Yeah, perhaps a little bit.
Privileged elite. We have created a system in this country. It is of fairly ancient pedigree. It goes back to the progressive movement that started in the early 20th century. Its great villains are Woodrow Wilson, FDR, LBJ, Obama, Biden. And essentially what progressivism is, it's progress, in quote marks, away from the founding. And modern progressivism has essentially built itself around targeting the white, heterosexual, Christian male. That is the enemy, and the whole system is based upon demonizing that guy, destroying him, blaming him for all the sins of the world, and constructing a rip-off scheme around that to benefit people who don't fit that description, like my opponent here, Destiny. Now, Trump, in some ways conscious of this and in some ways not, strides into this rotted system and breaks all the rules. He speaks like no other president, and his function has been ultimately to blow open the doors on what is really going on, expose the crooks in politics, by the way, many times in both parties, mainly on the left, but also some on the right, expose the media, expose the high-tech platforms, which have become platforms of censorship and would be now if it wasn't for Trump. And Trump has done this at great
if it wasn't for Trump, no, it's because of Elon Musk buying Twitter, dude. Let's watch Andrew Tate instead. He's in fucking jail, bro.
Personal expense, great personal risk.
I saw there was somebody was saying that they got a photo of him from the jail cell, from the window of his cell or some shit like that. I don't know if it was real or not. Probably not.
He has ultimately put his freedom on the line. He has risked his entire empire and prosperity, and more than once he has risked his life. I mean, what more can you ask of a guy? Now,
yeah, Tate got arrested outside of a fighting event of some sort, and with his brother. They're getting extradited to England, to the UK, to face some charges. Oh, you didn't know he was in jail? Yeah, I can't remember exactly what charges he's facing. God. Arya, stop. I'll look it up real quick.
On the foreign policy front, Trump has pulverized two of our terrible enemies, Iran, which is a global menace, and Venezuela, which was an outpost for Iran. Trump has done this cautiously. He's done it in his traditional Trumpian style. Basically, it's the style of the Western hero who goes into the bar, pistol whips a few of the bad guys, and walks out. And his message is there's a new sheriff in town. So even if Trump were to quit and exit Iran now, which, by the way, I think he should.
No. I do, like, I want to know. I mean, damn, sounded like I was upset about it. It's all good. The Crown Prosecution Service authorized 21 charges against the brothers. Oh, this was the original charges. The new charges and the arrest in July. They were arrested over requests over sex crime charges, including rape, grape, for all the for the YouTube audience, and sex trafficking. And their lawyers have vowed to fight extradition. Court documents tied to the extradition case revealed new details of about charges from UK prosecutors, including descriptions of the alleged grapes of 3 British women. Federal prosecutors asked that the brothers remain detained during extradition proceedings after British prosecutors brought new charges of grape and sex trafficking. 2 of the women allege Andrew Tate strangled them unconscious and then penetrated them without consent, while another woman accuses Tristan of doing the same. So there you go.
He will have left that country in an institutional shambles, which will benefit us.
Funny enough, Twitch doesn't care if you say the word, but YouTube does for some reason, I guess. I mean, I don't know. People always... Maybe they don't care that much on YouTube. It's just they demonetize you, which I'm not monetized anyway, so who gives a fuck? I guess I'll just say it.
Long term. So on foreign policy, Trump has done more, and he does it almost backhandedly. He's like the teacher who just kind of flicks his hand, and you kind of take it on the face, and you never recover. Now, on the domestic front, Trump's goal has been economic as well as cultural. Cultural, Trump has done a lot to revive patriotism, a genuine love of the founding, a genuine love of America. He has, and he's not doing this single-handedly. Let's remember, Trump is part of a movement that he represents. And that movement is to expose radical feminism and the perversion it's inflicted on the family. That movement has done a lot to expose the kind of way in which a lot of these corporate...
I don't think Trump has spoken out anything anti-feminism whatsoever. I don't think he ever has, to be honest. I mean, obviously all the MAGA people are all anti-feminism, but... I don't recall. I want Nick Fuentes reacting in the bottom right corner. Oh man, he did one. Fuentes did one with Hunter Biden the other day. That might make for a decent stream watch.
CEOs, many of them Republicans, by the way, are basically whores. And they will go along with the system if you offer them money. And the leftists figured that out. And so a lot of the hypocrisy of the left is basically, we'll pay you off if you come over to our side. And that explains the behavior of Zuckerberg and Bill Gates and all these sort of professional whores on the American political scene. And if it wasn't for Trump, not only would these people not be exposed, they would still be at it.
All right, let's see here. By that standard, they see his record as clearly regressive. I mean, he definitely says sexist stuff all the time, but as far as like telling him to get back in the kitchen and stuff, I don't know about that. Yeah, see, yeah, and I mean, Trump's got like, I mean, he has Tulsi Gabbard, he had Pam Bondi, he had women in charge of for a lot of his different positions in his cabinet. So yeah, I don't know.
They would still be squeezing you by the throat, squeezing you by the neck. This debate couldn't occur on social media platforms just a few years ago. You've just got to remember the COVID scheme that the left set up in the Biden era. That's where they want to go. The reason that they loved it is they kind of had their foot on your throat and mine. And this gave them a great deal of pleasure. Trump has put a stop to all this. So do we still have a long way to go? Is there going to need to be a MAGA movement post-Trump? Yes. And quite honestly, my son-in-law, Brandon Gill, who represents the district next to here, I spent most of yesterday with those guys charting out a little bit of where this needs to go. But Trump, I think, is, and Maggie Haberman said this yesterday, I think, on television, an immensely consequential figure, perhaps the most consequential figure of the 21st century. This is a guy who has had
he's kind of like off in his own reality for sure.
A major impact, and mostly for the good. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that opening. All right, we're ready for you, Stephen, for your opening as well. I've got the timer set for you.
I see we're pretty far apart in realities, me and Dinesh, and I'm sure we'll go through that in this debate. I thought a little bit about, do I think Trump is a good president or bad president? And I actually do think that in some regards, Trump is a pretty good president, just not for the United States of America. If I was a conservative and I was looking at things to get fixed in this country on the domestic front, I could look at the budget. One of the things that conservatives talk about over and over and over.
Don't be scaring me like that, man.
Again is that they like to balance the budget. Trump took a shot at that and he failed worse than George Bush did. We had Doge come in and they found essentially nothing. Doge has been all but disbanded at this point. Nobody even mentions it anymore. Elon initially came in promising to save $2 trillion, which is more than we even spend on our discretionary budget. And in the end, he ended up saving virtually nothing. I guess save for whatever he was talking about on Twitter, the stuff that had already been found by the prior governments. We have our massive illegal immigration problem where supposedly 20, 30, $40 million illegal immigrants came in, or 20, 30, 40 million illegal immigrants came into the country. And so far we have maybe 3 million deported, if you believe the administration's numbers. We have an ICE that is more unpopular than it has been since its inception. We have massive funding going to an organization that is not showing results for all of the money that they're getting. And now you have an American populace that is more ready to defund and disband ICE than they have been at any point in American history.
If I'm not mistaken, the Doge thing, I believe whenever you account, I don't think they ended up saving basically any money at all, and they may have actually lost money because of programs they discontinued or whatever, and then had to re-implement or whatever. Let me double check that. I know they cost with the disbanding of the U.S. aid and all that stuff, significant harm to foreign countries. Don't disband ICE. That's fucking stupid. Just tone it down a little. Well, yeah, I think the idea with that was you could potentially just disband them and start some new agency to take their place type of thing if you thought they were too corrupt. I don't know. You could also put the border patrol. I mean, just give them their duties.
You have
Something
historic unpopularity of the United States across the world. On the foreign front, we have handled the Iran situation disastrously. Iran is poised to become to emerge as the strongest power in the Middle East, which is in some ways tragically and hilariously unfathomable.
I don't think it needs to get disbanded. I think they could just cut the budget way back down to normal amounts. Oh man, I used to have all this stuff memorized, but it's been a while since I focused on the political stuff as much. But I remember there was in the Big Beautiful Bill, I believe they gave ICE like $170 billion for the budget. So it was almost like 20% of the defense budget before, but the Trump increased the defense budget by an extra $500 billion. So yeah, I mean, it went from, and Obama, it's funny because like when Obama was president, he deported more people more efficiently at like 10% of the budget. Which is pretty funny.
Fathomable just a few years ago.
Trump should consult with Obama on how to handle the border.
You had a Donald Trump who was criticizing us sending some amount of money to Iran in the form of the
And Obama didn't have like all the crazy bad press with ICE shooting American citizens and stuff.
JCPOA in exchange for them not getting nuclear weapons, to a Donald Trump today who is poised to allow Iran to earn more money in a day than they would have earned throughout the entirety of Obama's nuclear deal that he had set up for that country. You have...
I looked into this a while back, and I believe we didn't directly... Well... God damn it! There's some other organization associated with the Taliban that we funded and trained. The name escapes me at the moment. No, fuck no, I can't remember. I'll just type it in. Yeah, it was like we didn't directly fund and train Osama bin Laden, but he was like affiliated with an organization that we did do training for, so it was like more of like an indirect thing. If I remember right. And the reason for it was, if I recall correctly, because the Russians were trying to infiltrate the Middle East and take all the oil, and we didn't want to have them get all those financial resources. So we built up like the Middle East to prevent Russian expansion there. And then it ended up eventually backfiring. Yeah, the Mujahideen, that's what it was. The Mujahideen. That's the name of it. Fighting the Soviet occupation through Operation Cyclone. Yeah, that's what it was. And then the Taliban, and that was in the 80s, and then the Taliban itself didn't form until 94. But it was like associated with the Mujahideen. It's starting to come back to me.
I mean, you've got Russia and Ukraine, where absolutely no progress has been made. You've got
What's up, Rach?
allies all across Europe that no longer have faith in the United States as an empire, as a trading partner, as just a beacon of rationality and democracy anymore. I'm not entirely sure if you're looking at the actual factual accounting of things, what you can see in the United States, we feel like Donald Trump has actually served any end that you care about. I do think that if you are an enemy to the United States, if you're China, I think that you like the way that Donald Trump has approached world politics.
I've kind of brushed up on all this stuff, so it's like fresh on my memory. I have like a lot of missing connections right now. Like 6 months ago, like I was pretty sharp with all this stuff.
It's because it gives you.
I've been on like this like hardcore philosophy arc and then gaming arc, so.
Yeah, you can laugh about it, but they're looking at Taiwan. They're looking at Taiwan over there, and they see how Donald Trump has treated Ukraine. They see how Donald Trump has treated now, I guess, Israel. It looks like he's not too fond of them, and I'm sure that they're gearing up to do whatever it is they want to do in Taiwan. Maybe repeat what they did in Hong Kong.
You
look at Russia, and you see that Donald Trump has all but abandoned Europe, and the support to Ukraine.
Sorry if I butchered your name.
Has been lackluster at best, and it.
Kiriki. I think it is Kirikis.
He's given Putin a lot of room to navigate and maneuver through his European, I guess, like friends as he's traded with them. And Donald Trump has stood by and basically done nothing. I guess we'll hash it out on the factual level here, but I think that Donald Trump has failed to come through on basically every single thing he promised the Republican Party, other than, I guess, posting like an insane grandpa on social media.
That was a good one.
I think that he's weakened the United States position around the world and probably made our adversaries feel more comfortable in their constant belligerence of us and our allies.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that opening as well. We'll jump into the 80 minutes of dialogue. And then just a friendly reminder, everybody here, is we want to both let the debaters do the debating and also want to show them.
Who pisses you off, Hulk? Yeah, man, I'll fix that chat highlight thing that I made. It's not expanding. I couldn't get the window to expand. I'll have to mess with the code or something that I built for it. Dean Withers, dude's always got to win. I watch his stuff sometimes whenever he has a good clickbait title or something. He's okay, but he gets kind of triggered. He gets triggered a bit sometimes on certain topics. Nothing is fun with that guy. Yeah, he's really serious. He tends to get a little triggered sometimes. But I mean, he's pretty good at what he does, you know, just debating with MAGA guys. Most of the time, I would say. But you never really see him taking on any, like, high-end opponents. Like, he's never taken on, like, Andrew Wilson or fucking Rob Noor type guys. You know, he's not taking on, like, the top tier. He's taken on kind of the TikTok crowd, but hey, it's still good. It's great content. Of course, I'm not sure. I'll be honest. I'm not sure if that's his fault or if Andrew can be kind of annoying to set up debates with. It seems like sometimes some people he'll do it immediately, and then other people he makes them jump through all kinds of hoops. Like he doesn't want to debate Pisco for some reason. He's scared of him.
Respect.
And then when it comes to like a debate with Destiny, he like sits there and argues with the prompts. He debated Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was actually afraid of Parker. He didn't want to debate Parker. They went on they debated on the Jubilee, and then Parker wanted a one-on-one with him, you know, afterwards. And he and Dean even went to one of those Turning Point events and called him out in person, and then got like a little couple of minute thing, and then after their debate, Charlie Kirk had him thrown out of the event. But actually, oh man, I'm remembering now. Actually, to be fair to Charlie Kirk, Parker and Charlie Kirk had a debate set up like the next week. After Charlie Kirk got assassinated, they had an event scheduled like that next week to do a one-on-one debate. So, to be fair to Charlie Kirk, Like, he was actually going to finally debate Parker one-on-one. He just got assassinated, unfortunately. Think he just pissed Kirk off? Well, you know what? If I remember correctly, his argument against Charlie Kirk was pretty funny. Like, it... he was asking... He started the conversation off asking if God was a he, like if he had he, him pronouns, and then he found somewhere in the Bible where God used they, them, or something like, or no, he asked if God was a he, if he had like a penis or not, and Charlie Kirk was like, no, God doesn't have a penis, he's a spirit, and he's like, oh, so he doesn't have XY chromosomes or a penis. He's like a they, them. He's non-binary. Can I get you to concede that God is non-binary? that was actually a really funny argument that I had never heard before. It had nothing to do with the prompt. No, it didn't, but it was funny. It was still funny.
As we do appreciate them being here. With that, gentlemen, the floor is all yours for open dialogue.
I guess we could start with the Iran thing. Man, what a disaster.
By what measure?
Well, we started a war of annihilation that we weren't ready or able to follow through on. And Iran is poised to have more control over the Strait of Hormuz and more, I guess, like foreign money flowing into that country than they had at any point in the last 50 years.
Didn't Iran have control over the Strait of Hormuz before?
No, not in the way that it does now.
Who controlled the Strait of Hormuz?
It was an open route that anybody could ship oil through.
Well, anyone could pass through, but who controlled it?
It was an open.
It was open. Route. It was controlled by Iran from the beginning. It's controlled by Iran now.
Why am I always talking? Because it's called transformative content, my dude. If you're not down with it, you can definitely go watch the VOD on your own. It's on YouTube. Modern Day Debates. Boy Humpty. Are you calling me Humpty Dumpty?
Oh, the real issue is this. There are 3 or 4 major powers in the Middle East.
Hold on. When you say controlled by...
Well, why are you interrupting me? Let me say my
controlled
piece.
By. What do you mean by controlled by?
Well, what I'm saying is you have a narrow strait that is basically sitting in the back.
Yeah, MSU calls me Humpty Dumpty sometimes. The freaking GIFs.
Yard of Iran. So as a practical matter, the country that happens to have that proximity is going to exercise a large degree of control. That's a simple fact. Now, if you annoy Iran, you blow up its facilities, you destroy its navy, you pulverize its air force, you reduce it to rubble, they're going to cling to the Strait of Hormuz and go, yeah, we got a hold of this. So I understand that Iran is grabbing a hold of the Strait of Hormuz in its panic because that's all they have left. But you're making it sound like they're somehow stronger than they were before. I'm saying that the opposite is true. Egypt and Saudi Arabia and Jordan, look at a little country like UAE, which was essentially a kind of fly compared to Iran. UAE is stronger than Iran right now. Iran doesn't dare attack the United Arab Emirates. UAE can pulverize Iran. So the truth of it is the combined force of the United States and Israel has leveled Iran to the ground. Now, in a country of 90 million that's rather large, it's not easy to overthrow the regime without going in there, going door to door, grabbing every...
Destiny should debate identity politics with Dinesh about like which particular issue with related to identity politics would you want to see them debate?
Every mullah and pulling him out. The Iranian people, frankly, have to do that, and I hope they do. I would encourage them to do it. I would give money to send a million rifles into Iran to arm the Iranian people against the government. But I support the Reagan doctrine, which is that people should fight for their own freedom. It's not our job to liberate Iran. It's our job to protect our own interests, America first, and Trump is doing that.
In what way do you think Iran is controlling the strait now than is it in the same way they had before, or do you think it's more than it had before?
No, I'm saying it's in the same way that they have before, but they are
So you
exercising...
think that people have always been afraid to sail tankers through that strait, the Strait of Hormuz, and that they were going to get bombed by Iran for doing so? That's always been a fear.
No, that's not what control means. If I control my backyard, I might allow people to pass through, but they're passing through at my behest, at my say-so. I can charge them money if I want to go through. I still have the same degree of control. Now, I may not exercise it.
You can modify the statement then, in that Iran is now exercising deadly, I guess, restraint over the Strait of Hormuz than they were before.
All right, let's look this up real quick. See how close it is. There's a guy named Identity Politics. He's like far right if you gave them meth in a dune buggy. Does he have like a YouTube channel? Is that actually like his That's actually his username. Oh, this guy here? The distinction between friends and enemies is above all centered on race. Shoe on Head told Trump to stay away from the Middle East. I guess he missed the video. He's a Rumble guy, LOL. I don't know why I know of him. Is this him? I'm guessing it is. Strait of Hormuz operated normally as the world's most important oil choke point. Roughly 20% of the world's oil supply, about 20 million barrels a day, transited the strait under normal conditions, alongside about 25% of the world's seaborne oil trade and 20% of global LNG. Traffic ran at roughly 88 ship transits a day. On February 28, 2026, the U.S. and Israel launched surprise airstrikes on Iran, targeting military and government sites and assassinating Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, along with other officials, starting what's now called the 2026 Iran War. Iran retaliated with missile and drone strikes on Israel, U.S. bases, and Gulf states, and the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps began forbidding passages through the strait, boarding and attacking merchant ships, and laying sea mines. March 19th, the U.S. began an air campaign specifically to reopen the strait by targeting Iranian vessels and drones. From April to May, the U.S. ran a simultaneous naval blockade of Iranian ports. Ceasefire, a memorandum of understanding reached in June 2026, sought to reopen the strait and end the war, but it unraveled. An Iranian drone hit a cargo ship transiting the strait on June 25th, setting off a chain of escalation that brought the two countries back toward all-out war within about a month. By July 6th and 7th, 3 ships had been attacked and President Trump declared the truce over. And strikes resumed at scale. On July 11th, the U.S. hit around 140 Iranian military targets after Iran fired on a ship and declared the strait closed again. Fighting continued through mid-July, with Iran striking tankers, UAE vessels being hit, and Trump floating the idea of 20% toll on strait passage as oil prices spiked. Taco Bell by any chance? The strait is effectively closed to commercial shipping. Only about 10 ships transited on July 23rd versus the normal 88 per day. Okay, so it's like way down in traffic, and they've got mines, and they're firing on ships, and they're trying to destroy ships that pass through, basically. So Dinesh saying that the strait is basically in the same condition it was before the war is absolutely not the case. So while Iran was in charge of it before, they weren't declaring the strait closed like they are now. So that's the big difference here. I just wanted to get a little bit of a background on the kind of the history of it. Prefer to mainline my Mexican iceberg lettuce into my veins, so I think that did it. Yeah, I've been joking with him a bit on Discord because he said one time that he went to Taco Bell and they had that thing come out where the lettuce at Taco Bell was giving people violent diarrhea. So I've been memeing pretty hard on that.
Regardless, their control of the strait has changed in character in a way that it never had before.
Yes, I agree with that.
And that's due to the United States attacking Iran for reasons of which I still don't even fully understand. And the only way for us to alleviate that situation is to give Iran a deal that leaves it a stronger nation than it was before we entered this conflict.
The entire terror network, not only of the Middle East, I'm not just talking about Hamas and Hezbollah, I'm not just talking about Boko Haram in the north part of Africa, but extending through Venezuela, Hezbollah in South America. Iran was the malefactor. Iran was the hub. They were doing it from their base. And so clobbering the base is what Trump set out to do. Now, you may not think that's a good idea. You may like the terror network. You may think that, as Tucker Carlson says, Hamas is a political movement. It's like the Labour Party. It's a force for good. The Muslims are up to doing great stuff in America and Australia and Canada. We need more of them. We need more mosques in Dallas.
Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. I want Trump and Kamala Harris to get on stage with a shitload of laxatives and see who shits themselves first. It's self-defense.
If you take that view, then you're going to think that Trump's bad. But if you agree that there is an Islamic project that began in the 7th century, long before Israel, the Muslims conquered the Holy Land, they're the original colonizers. They have just realized that there are dupes like you who will buy into the rhetoric of anti-colonialism, and so they mouth that rhetoric, the Ilhan Omars of the world, but they are the original colonialists. The Muslim view is colonialism is great when we do it, and it's not good if anybody else does it. And the reason they don't like Israel is really simple, because Israel is a force that is stopping them from colonizing the entire Middle East. That's why Israel is the little Satan.
And yet Israel is the country that is the most opposed to the deals that Trump is trying to cut now with Iran. Why? The reason why is because Israel is opposed to those very same terror networks that you claim that we've somehow magically defunded by attacking Iran. But we haven't. Israel understands that Hezbollah is poised to become more funded and more powerful and more capable than ever because Iran is now going to be taxing the Strait of Hormuz. Iran has shown the entire world that it could withstand attacks from the United States and Israel combined, something that used to be done only in...
Trump will win. He doesn't need laxatives for that. I think you mean lose. Yeah, who wins in that contest, right? Who is declared the winner? What is it? What are the rules of the criteria for who wins and who loses? He shits first, then technically.
Theory or in rumor before, and now has been demonstrated in actuality. And Iran is going to have relationships with the rest of the world and sanctions relief that Donald Trump was floating the idea. I don't know where we're at in any terms of deal with them. Donald Trump famously can never seem to finalize any deal. But now Iran is actually poised to be free of sanctions for the first time in my lifetime. And to try to sell this as some massive win when conservatives have been changing the definition of what a win would be. Initially, we were going to be there for 2 weeks. Then it was just going to be a month. Then it was going to be before Congress could do a declaration of war. Then it was going to be, I guess, shortly after that we were going to have like some ceasefire. We've had like 30 ceasefires with Iran and with Hamas and everybody else. And I'm just so curious if Iran is set up to be such a failed state after our attacks on them. Why is Israel so opposed to the types of deals that Trump is trying to cut with Iran?
Because Israel's interests in America sometimes diverge. Israel feels existentially threatened in the region, as we are not. Israel has the goal of, and I think they set in their minds after October 7th, we are going to completely remake the map of the Middle East, and this requires the Iranian regime to fall. So Israel is committed to the decimation of the regime or regime change. Trump, I think, is wisely chastened by the fact that in Venezuela, as in Iran, there are some risks of quagmire, getting stuck over there, of risking a large number of American lives. So I think Trump is recovered the wisdom of the Reagan doctrine, which is that people need to fight for their own freedom. They fight, we help.
What was the goal of us attacking Iran then?
The goal of us attacking Iran is the goal of taking the number one global menace. And let's remember that the menace of Iran is not the same as, say, the menace of Russia. Russia is basically a Machiavellian great power. They want to increase their scope of influence. Everybody does. China does, Russia does, India does, Brazil does. But Iran has this added factor, and it is a certain ideological messianism, a fanaticism. They say things like, we love death more than we love life. They couldn't be more clear about the fact that we are their main opponent. That's why in the Iranian parliament, they burned the American flag. I mean, how stupid are we not to see that they have identified us as their main enemy? So you can't pretend like they're not an adversary. They are. And so in politics, it's a really good idea, if you can, to walk over to a place and clobber your adversary and put him on the ground where he can't get up. Now, true, you may decide, once I've done that, I'm going to sign a deal where we don't fight anymore, basically because you don't have your arms and you don't have your legs and you can't really hurt me anymore.
Except they're still maximally exercising control over the Strait of Hormuz in a way that has left the entire world laughing at the United States for the inability to actually enforce maritime trade, which was one of the biggest benefits that we had of having the largest and strongest navy in the world, such that Trump was literally begging and crying and screaming for his NATO partners to show up, the people that he'd thrown under the bus for the past 10 years, wondering why they're not showing up in the Strait to help him. But the reality is, there is no help there. Donald Trump can tell us every single day, which they have for weeks, that we've blown up every boat in the Iranian Navy. I was unaware that the Iranian Navy was a huge threat to the United States. I haven't heard of any massive Iranian ships sailing around that was blowing up the United States at all in the past several years. But I do see all the drones flying through the Strait of Hormuz. I see tankers getting hit and struck. I see that the amount of oil that's going through there has basically collapsed. And
one thing to keep in mind is that I think it's called the just war theory or whatever in ethics. But it's this idea that you know, when determining whether or not for a military strike, it's not enough that you could foresee that one day they could potentially attack you. There has to be some type of imminent plan for an attack for you to go on the offensive. And because, I mean, otherwise, you know, you're just going around anybody that's even somewhat adversarial. Like, how would you even classify someone as being like adversarial necessarily? Like, if they don't join NATO or they're, you know, making aggressive actions against neighboring countries, or, you know, my point is just that you could start like attacking like all kinds of countries by like a standard of, you know, if they're quote unquote adversarial without like actually engaging in military conflicts against you. Did anyone see the Holy War Shoe on Head video? No, I haven't. I haven't seen one of her videos in a few months.
Nothing the United States has done has made...
She is funny, though. I do like her stuff.
...that trade route any safer. It's been only bad for global trade, and it's been only bad for U.S. power over the past however many...
I think the last one I watched of her was something about, like, Hassan.
months we've been now stuck down in Iran in a war that I asked you, what was the point of going to war over there? It sounded like you were saying regime change, but then earlier you said the regime change has to come from the people, and I don't know what the United States has to do with regime change in Iran anyway. I'm old enough to remember that we've tried regime change in the Middle East a few times, and generally it was considered an unpopular thing, but I guess in this case it would be under a Democratic president. Of course, it would be unpopular, but for some reason, Donald Trump gets a free pass. If I were to try to find any reason for why we're attacking Iran now, maybe we could point to them going after nuclear weapons, but that's equally confusing to me because Trump promised me and the American people that their ability to acquire nuclear weapons was completely destroyed when we bombed them several months ago. But apparently that wasn't true, I guess, or maybe they were able to rebuild really quickly, or maybe they found the nuclear dust, or maybe Donald Trump was just lying like he always does, but we're not supposed to take him literally, or we're just supposed to take him seriously, whatever that means. Maybe we're still attacking him now because we feel like Iran can still pursue a nuclear weapon, in which case I wonder wonder why we ever pulled out of that JCPOA in the first place. I don't remember there being a nuclear weapon on the table when Obama was in office, despite the fact that Netanyahu and Israel are always crying that they're a few weeks away from a nuclear weapon. It seems like that threat didn't become real until Trump came in again. I just, when I look at the state of the Middle East, I think a more reasonable story of what happened is Donald Trump found that he was able to go into Venezuela, he could bully a smaller country, he could abduct a world leader, and for the most part, he got away with it. And he looked at Iran and he foolishly thought that he could do the exact same thing. He tried it, he failed miserably, and now we've shown Iran, and Iran has shown the entire world, that they can actually apply an immense amount of pain to the entire world global oil economy with very, very, very cheap weapons. And
yeah, that's a really good point. He got comfortable doing the quick military strikes, ran in, grabbed the leader of Venezuela, got away, and no further conflict. But they really didn't even have that. He didn't even really have that kind of a plan with Iran. I guess the initial strike in 2025, where they claimed they took out all of the sites that were working on nuclear technology, such that it set them back more than a decade before they could even begin rebuild or getting to where they were before. So supposedly that strike was successful. So for them to go back in again, I guess he thought he could do the same type of thing again somehow. Or I don't really. It's so hard to get into his mind with exactly what he's thinking. I guess because they didn't close the Strait of Hormuz originally or whatever, he thought he didn't foresee that happening. Call of Duty predicted the capture of Maduro. Sounds a tad conspiracy-ish, but I can see why it's a theory. Basically just a theory that the Iran war is a holy war of Christianity because they feel we have a biblical requirement to follow Israel. I mean, there's well, I don't think Trump is religious at all. But I mean, the sick conspiracy, of course, is that he's getting blackmailed by Israel because they got the real Epstein files, with Trump, with incriminating evidence on Trump, and so he's got to do whatever they say. Like that's the hardcore conspiracy theory. I believe that. I would believe that over that Trump is on a holy war for Christianity, for Jesus. I don't think Trump even knows which book of the Bible Jesus is in. It's the people in his ear. Okay, well, yeah, that could definitely be the case. That makes sense.
And because the United States doesn't have any...
I'm going to run to the restaurant. I'll be right back. I'll leave this going.
Diplomatic response on the table because Donald Trump is not a man that can do diplomacy, and because we don't have a good military response on the table because we didn't have clear goals set out at the beginning of this, and because we didn't even help or participate in the war between Ukraine and Russia, so we don't even know how to do drone warfare. We're left using Patriot interceptors, for $5 million a piece to try to intercept $50,000 Shahid drones, while all these tankers are just parked at the beginning of the strait, wondering if they're ever going to be able to come out or not.
Number one, I'm a little older than you are, and if we put a little bit of perspective on all of this, we see that by and large, regime change in the world has a great and glorious history. Most of the time, it works out for the better. We've had, just to take the span of my own lifetime, we saw regime change in massively deadly adversaries like Germany and Japan, Italy. Regime change in Italy, by the way, was done by the Italians. They grabbed Mussolini, strung him up in the piazza in Milan, and the outcome was better. In the Cold War, there was regime change in about 30 countries.
What's for dinner, Rach? What you got tonight?
Countries, all of it to the good. Regime change, not just in the Soviet Union, where they abolished the communist system, but regime change in places like Poland, Czechoslovakia, Bulgaria, Romania, the list goes on. All these countries liberated at the end of the Cold War, regime change, and it all turned out for the better. I hope we see regime change.
Which leaked messages are you referring to? Watch the video at some point? All right, I'll check it out. Lots of strange evidence, but everything is sensationalized, so I don't know. Great and glorious history, says Jamir. Welcome in, Jamir.
change in Venezuela. Now, having said all this, regime change is, I think, a goal, but in foreign policy, you always have to measure the means that are used to achieve the goal. Can we get regime change in Iran? Yeah, but we may not be willing to pay the price. Now, if you look at this Iran war, and we've got to try to be adults about all this, if you get into a war and you have clear objectives, the simple truth of it is, if you then turn around and say, well, yes, we've lost 7 men, or Iran fired a missile and it got through to Israel and killed 2 dogs, you're talking about a really powerful country. If you had to specify in advance, you would expect that there would be enormous casualties in Middle Eastern countries.
We didn't regime change any of those examples.
In Israel, that Iran would be hitting American targets on a daily basis. This is a war. So what I'm suggesting here is that what Destiny is doing here is setting up an absurd calculus. Iran has endured. Well, what alternative do they have? A guy getting his ass kicked in an MMA fight is enduring, but that doesn't mean he's winning. Similarly, Iran is able to lash out here and lash out there, which we would fully expect. They're grabbing onto their own backyard, no surprise. They're unable to maintain even control of.
I think winning in this sense is not that Iran is defeating the United States or anything like that. I think it's more of like winning the political support of the United States in terms of like the United States being against the war more and more, such that the pressures for Trump to end it are rising. Yeah, I guess that's the best way to. That's the way I would interpret it. We'll see if Destiny agrees with that.
Over their old network. So we've disrupted the whole Iranian system. So when you talk about places like Russia and China, they're like, Trump actually is willing to use force. He's willing to do it prudently, but he is willing to kick ass. And this was what makes him different from, for example, an absolute mindless Joe Biden, a giggling, idiotic Kamala Harris. So again, when you're measuring Trump, you have to measure him against the absolutely impermissible alternative. Can you imagine what America would have been like had the Democrats won? Can you imagine the world we'd be living in? The rottenness of the system would continue. The censorship would be accelerated. The surveillance would be going on. There would be political targeting to a degree that we probably never imagined. Trump would probably be serving a life sentence. So this is who these people are. This is what they do. And Trump has liberated us from that.
Basically, every single thing you're saying is just not true.
Not true?
But I mean, I guess so.
Here's
where the metal meets the road. Or the rubber meets the road, I guess. What do you think a successful end state for Iran looks like? What do you think it's going to look like for the United States to leave that conflict?
The messages where the dude says Trump has the most power since Truman in this war. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Let me... Oh, Trump. Oh, okay. True Social post. Trump posted a document he said was from a presidential historian that compares him to the likes of Attila the Hun, Genghis Khan, Napoleon, Stalin, Mao, and Hitler, and concludes that Trump is, without question, the most powerful man that the planet has ever known. What the fuck? I don't think that's true. That's not true. Maybe in terms of... Maybe because of like how crazy he is and the fact that he has the nuclear weapons and other advanced technologies, that's true. But in terms of like territory control, that's not true. When you have people like Roman emperors and like Alexander the Great and stuff like that, like they controlled way more territory, I would say. But I guess I can understand because of the nukes and stuff. Not that, Lulskers. Oh, Yeah, if you can search for it, link it in the chat, and I'll check it out.
To emerge feeling like we were victorious. Because I will tell you that when Obama was in office, supposedly inept president.
Jamir says Iran and Russia share a border. Putin attacks Ukraine. Trump attacks Iran. World War III averted. Yeah. It's crazy. It's getting crazy out there, man. Yep, looking... Maybe I'm a fucking idiot. I don't know. I'm sure you'll find it.
Who didn't know what he was doing when it came to foreign policy. We had a deal on the table with inspectors in the country, and we had a pathway to some kind of normalization with Iran where there was still intense pressure on that country. When Trump came into the first term, he tore up the JCPOA with nothing to replace it with. He set off the Abraham Accords and claimed peace in the Middle East without dealing with the Palestinian issue. Biden comes in and...
You know, Jamir, what is Putin's? Do you know what is Putin's like opinion on this Iran conflict? I'm sure he can't be too happy with it. Because Russia had deals with Iran, I think. I'm not much of an expert on that area, unfortunately. But I'm learning, learn as much as I can.
Lo and behold, what happens every time the Palestinians are ignored? They rise up and they do an attack. It happened with the first Intifada, it happened with the second Intifada, and it happened with October 7th. Go figure. Big surprise. Trump comes in the next time after achieving peace in the Middle East, and then he comes in and he does peace in the Middle East again by attacking Iran, and then he's done peace in the Middle East again by getting us in a war with Iran. What does the end state here look like? Because all I see is Trump making bad decisions, the bad decisions playing out in literally the most obvious manner possible, and then not knowing how we're going to come out of the bad position better than we were before, and conservatives somehow trying to pretend like it was a win every single step of the way. So I'll ask, what is a positive resolution where you would look at our exit from Iran and go, that was a really good idea that we attacked that?
This is our second time debating, and what frustrates me in debating you is that I think you have the wrong self-conception that you are somehow presenting facts, and you will use terms like this is positive. Or this is progress, or for example, you start off with an almost devotional premise, which is that Obama was trying to stop Iran from getting a nuclear weapon. My premise is the opposite. Obama was...
Who knows what Putin and Trump are up to? Gorillas are gonna gorilla. True.
Trying to help Iran to get a nuclear weapon while publicly professing the opposite to his domestic political audience.
Trump really wants to be like Putin. I think Putin's kind of like his role model, I think. He wants Putin to like him, too.
Why couldn't they do that in 8 years, then?
That was Obama's goal.
Why didn't they do that in 8 years, then? That's super simple. We have history. We can just look. Why didn't it happen in 8 years, then, when Obama was president?
Because Iran is on a pathway to getting a nuclear weapon, and they were much closer. Basically, to get a nuclear weapon, you need a certain number of things. First of all, you need the knowledge. They've got it. Second of all, you need the resources.
You said that Obama was helping them get a nuclear weapon. He was in office for 8 years. Where's their nuclear weapon when he was in office?
Well...
It was just not true. I agree with what you said earlier.
The argument has always been that Iran, like North Korea, is on an inexorable path to get nuclear weapons. Do you deny that the Iranians have the desire to get nuclear weapons?
They absolutely did after Trump tore up the JCPOA. Yeah.
No, but you're saying under Obama was so charming and persuasive that these radical mullahs who burn the American flag and say death to America have the option of getting a nuclear weapon, but because Obama signed a document and gave them pallets of cash, the Iranians decided we will forego this ambition. We're not going to do it, even if we can, because we love Obama. Is that your position?
My position is that you can do the goofy conservative, well, what would happen if a Democrat was in office? But the problem you have here is you have to actually contend with the history of what happened. And the history of what happened was Obama was in office for 8 years, and Iran did not have a nuclear weapon. And they were making no progress towards that nuclear weapon. The entire International Atomic Agency, everybody else agrees with that. It wasn't until Trump came in.
Every president since Truman has been the most powerful man in history. True. Yeah, technically. I guess that is true. I mean, the only... it really depends, I guess, how you define the term powerful. Because, guys like, Alexander the Great, for example, they were unconstrained. Like, they could pretty much do whatever the fuck they wanted. Whereas Trump does have to follow some rules to some degree, at least, at least theoretically. He hasn't, like, completely escaped the Constitution. So he's still been kept in check to some degree. But the threat of power by Trump is the most powerful. He's the most powerful man in history. Like he has the ability or the weapons. But he doesn't have that raw, unrestricted power that like some emperor or something would have had. You know what I'm saying? I guess. All right. Hulk Hobbs posts, God spared you in Butler, PA, to be the most consequential president in a century, maybe ever. The decisions on your shoulders I would not want to be made by anyone else. You have many voices speaking to you, sir, but there is only one voice that matters, his voice. I am your appointed servant in this land, and I'm available to you, but I do not try to get in your presence often because I trust your instincts. No president in my lifetime has been in a position like yours. Not since Truman in 1945. I don't reach out to persuade you, only to encourage you. I believe you will hear from heaven, and that voice is far from more important than mine or anyone else's. You sent me to Israel to be your eyes, ears, and voice, and to make sure our flag flies above our embassy. My job is to be the last one to leave. I will not abandon this post. Our flag will not come down. You did not seek this moment. This moment sought you. It is my honor to serve you. This is the Mike Huckabee that says this? That's fucking crazy. Any president can end the world. That would be interesting. I don't know exactly if the president just completely lost his mind and wanted to like fire nukes at Russia and China. I feel like there would be checks on that, but I mean, obviously there are things in place to remove him from office, if he's making decisions that aren't in the interests of the country or whatever. That would be a crazy situation. If he just like lost his mind and started having like some kind of like a bipolar episode. That would be a scary situation for sure. Yeah, the military would have to refuse the order. Thank you so much, Jamir, for the sub. Appreciate you. Yeah, they would have to refuse the order, and then they would have to declare him unfit to be president. Otherwise, he could just do it. So if he had the military on his side, he could just fucking do it. That's crazy. That'd be crazy. I feel like there needs to be more checks on nuclear weapon launches.
Into office the first time and then tore up the JCPOA, and then on his second time felt that it was so essential that we had to go and bomb Iran, and then we had to start an existential war against them. What happened? How is it that I asked one more time? If you have no answer, that's fine. Obama was in office for 8 years. Why wasn't Iran able to get a nuclear weapon if Obama was so friendly and warm towards them acquiring a nuclear weapon in that time frame?
Because they hadn't gotten there yet. They obviously were in pursuit. And a nuclear weapon is a huge escalation.
And they saw the Syrian civil war that Obama supposedly had some hand in funding FSA fighters' weapons with, and they thought that was that was a signal from the Obama State Department that Hillary Clinton was going to be really friendly towards an Iranian nuclear regime. They saw the death of Gaddafi, the fall of Libya. They thought that was a warm signal from the Obama administration that they were friendly towards an Iranian regime. They saw a constant denial to Israel of their request to constantly go in and start wars with any of their surrounding neighbors that they felt like were giving them problems. This was a positive signal to the Iranian regime. There has been one president that came in and with no mind or thought for what's going on in the Middle East decided to believe Netanyahu when he showed up at DC and said, you really got to go after Iran. They're a big problem now. I don't understand how you can look at the historical facts. If this was 2010, maybe we could have this discussion, but history has already played out and it didn't happen. What you're claiming would happen didn't happen.
You're offering the Neville Chamberlain view of foreign policy, which is that Hitler's not a threat because he hasn't yet invaded Poland. Hitler's obviously planning to invade Poland. He's militarizing Germany. He's increasing German strength. And Chamberlain is like, hey, Link, things must be going amazing because it hasn't happened.
It says Mike Huckabee is an American politician, diplomat, and Baptist minister serving. He's a preacher in charge of the diplomacy to Israel. That's wild. No wonder the post sounds so unhinged.
Yet until it happens. And then, of course, the whole calculus changes. Obama was promoting as best as he could radical Islam in the Middle East.
Trump's spiritual guru, Paula White Cain.
Best case in point has to do with Egypt. Obama put pressure on America's own ally, Mubarak. Got him out of power. This was all under the great guise of the Arab Spring. And then internally, Obama pushed.
Dude, she looks like a demon from like that show Supernatural or something. Like her eyes look black. Like the demons on this show, like their eyes would go black. Yeah, just like that. That's crazy. Very similar look. Crazy.
For the Muslim Brotherhood. Think of it, Mohammed Morsi, a member of the Muslim Brotherhood, takes over Egypt. So an American ally is now turned into an American adversary with Obama's deliberate conniving.
Welcome back, Rach. What's for dinner? Yeah, it's hard to trust a normal breaker because his limits slide around. He's bombing Iran and complaining that an Olympic canoer sabotaged the reflecting pool after its DOJ dropped the charge. Really?
And participation. So this was an utterly bad guy trying to take America down a notch and trying to help Iran and other American adversaries. By the way, not
Egypt
because I'm
helping,
saying...
when he came into power, the first thing he did was he sent a letter to the Israeli Prime Minister telling him that he was going to respect... Wow. Again, you can laugh, but history has demonstrated that your position is wrong. Egypt is still and remained a strong
history
ally.
Doesn't speak.
Egypt
you and I
was
interpret
a strong
history.
ally to the United... Oh, I'm sorry. What were the Egyptian attacks on Israel or the United...
Okay, what's this about? Drops criminal case against Olympian over damaged reflecting pool? Said in a 20-page court filing that information provided since the indictment of David Hearn shows that the damage was the result of a flawed installation by the contractor, as well as the rush to complete the project prior to events associated with the America 250 celebration in the weeks surrounding Independence Day 2026. Given this newly discovered information, it's difficult to attribute the widespread damage to the reflecting pool to vandalism. Hearn pleaded not guilty to one felony count of property destruction. That's weird, man. I didn't even hear about that story. Mince and spaghetti. Give it a 3.5 out of 10. Oh no. I like spaghetti though.
United States since 2011. Exactly.
Well,
History has demonstrated that you're incorrect. We've continued to remain strong partners with Egypt. Israel is still a partner with Egypt. The idea that the Muslim Brotherhood came in and started some huge uprising to destroy U.S. interests or things, we still have control of the Suez Canal. You know how earlier you said, well, Iran's always controlled the Strait of Hormuz, even though you knew you were being disingenuous. Notice how Egypt didn't shut down the Suez and we could still do open trade and everything through there. So you're trying to...
Trump criticized Pirro? Oh, okay. Gotcha. Your Hegseth quote, there's no reason why the miracle of the reestablishment of the temple on the Temple Mount is not possible. I don't know how it would happen. I don't know how it would happen, but I know that it could happen. Is that like some kind of a Jewish temple thing? Is that what you're talking about? Like Solomon's temple or something?
To do like a counterfactual, but the history is already there.
Yeah, the history is already there.
History's proven you incorrect.
History has not proven me incorrect. Mohammed Morsi was deposed by the Egyptian military, which took over the country and has ruled it ever since and restored the American alliance. So that's the fact. What Obama tried to do was undone, but not by us. It was undone by the Egyptians themselves. They realized that Obama was taking them down the Muslim Brotherhood path. They got rid of Morsi, and the situation was reversed. You obviously don't know that.
It sounds to me like a government that was sounds like a government was just functioning as a government does. Sometimes leaders come in that we don't like, and then other times leaders come in we do like. But regardless of anything that you're fantasizing Obama did, the Egyptian alliance or the Egyptian partnership with the United States and with Israel remained as it was. Nothing bad happened. Iran didn't get any crazy nuclear weapons under Obama, despite everybody saying it would happen. Nothing bad happened. Egypt didn't stop working with the United States or with Israel. Nothing bad happened. Yet Donald Trump comes in, and now I'm to be told, after we've lost more soldiers now in this, whatever war we're in with Iran than we ever did in the Biden-Afghanistan pullout, another horrible deal that was negotiated by Donald Trump, by the way. For some reason, I'm being told that this is a good war because they were going to get nuclear weapons under a Democrat, even though it wasn't happening under the Democrats ever. Like, the history just does not support your set of...
It's like that piece in the Middle East, Jamer says. It's like that Tupac song where he's like, "It's still I see no changes. Can a brother get a little peace? It's war on the streets and the war in the Middle East."
Facts here.
Pancakes tomorrow.
Which is why I will ask a final time. What is a good solution at the end of the Iranian conflict, whatever you want to call this? What is a win to you? Because right now I see it to where Iran is going to emerge from this conflict more powerful than they ever were, because they're going to have more sanctions relief than they could have ever gotten in the past, and because they might even have some amount of like toll control over the oil that goes through the Strait of Hormuz. These are things that Iran would have fantasized about prior to Trump coming into office a second time. But so I'm curious, what do you think is a successful emergence of that conflict where we feel like we've won?
Well, I think the success is already here now, and that is a massive redistribution of power
to Iran.
You remind me of the scene in The Republic where Socrates is making arguments and Thrasymachus starts laughing, and Socrates is like, "Laughing, Thrasymachus? Is this a new form of argumentation I'm not familiar with?" Well, what's going on here is that, by and large, Trump has the view, right or wrong, that there are sort of good Muslim regimes and bad ones. The good Muslim regimes, by and large, want to build up. They want...
Those are the next lines in this song. Oh yeah, house update. Didn't get the one I looked at. Owners have now decided to do something different once the current tenants move out, apparently. Oh, thank you, J-Mayor, for the follow on Twitch. Appreciate you.
To be on the frontier of technology. They want coffee shops. They maybe want a Trump hotel. They want commerce. They want AI. They want robotics. And this is Saudi Arabia. This is UAE. This is Jordan. And Trump's idea is, I'm going to mobilize the good Muslims against the bad ones. Who are the bad ones? Iran, Al-Qaeda.
Mobilized.
So hold on.
The U.S. is fighting this alone. You think Saudi Arabian fighter planes are helping us control the Strait of Hormuz? You think we're getting out of Dubai? We're getting ships and drone defense systems? Why? Maybe we should have worked with Ukraine. I don't know. Maybe they could have actually helped us here. But you know,
first of all,
we did mobilize. Trump did help mobilize Saudi Arabia against Yemen, but how did that go for 3 or 4 years? Nothing came positively from that.
Give Dinesh a chance to finish.
Yes, sir.
In politics, and by and large, this is the difference between someone who's just talking about it and somebody who's doing it.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, you had some time to still look, so that's good at least. New to the platform? Yeah, Twitch is it's a good platform, but it's good for streaming. And they don't have as many like annoying kind of like requirement or DMCA type requirements as YouTube. But yeah, it's got its own issues, of course, discoverability and things like that, but as far as like the chatting experience on Twitch, it's really good. You can say bad things on here. Yeah. There's certain words you definitely can't say. Obviously. You have until the end of October, but you looked at one today with 30 other people. FML, I can't compete with that.
In politics, you got to ask, what do I want out of Saudi Arabia? Saudi Arabia is sitting on almost infinite.
See, I want to get YouTube built up at the same time as well, so that's why I was streaming to both. It's cool. It's actually, the stream's actually doing pretty good on YouTube. It seems like it does. It seems like the stream does way better when I like schedule the stream on YouTube like a few hours ahead of time, so people that are subscribed to me actually see it rather than me just going live. It seems like it does way better, so I'm gonna start doing that.
And
I've got to get like more educated on the Middle East stuff so I can give better commentary. I'm way stronger on like the philosophy debates, but I want to learn more about like the political climate stuff. Too much competition?
Deserts. Do we really need Bedouins from the desert in white robes to go attack Iran? No. We actually want a Saudi commitment to go into the frontier of technology, to invest giant amounts of money in the United States. If Trump gets that out of Saudi Arabia, he's gotten what he could get out of Saudi Arabia. Now, Egypt doesn't have a bunch of oil. But what Trump wants to do is basically create a pro-American, pro-Western regime or system in the Middle East. That's what he's doing. And the way you do it, again, coming back to the Western film, is you go into the bar. There are a lot of good guys in the bar who just want to drink. And there are a lot of bad guys in the bar who are part of this, gang. You want to pistol whip the bad guys. And then someone goes, well, how is the bar any better off? Well, it's better off because the people who are drinking are actually smiling, and the bad guys are all on the floor or their bodies are being carried out of the bar. Things are better. So to then say, well, they're still alive. Well, you weren't.
The funny thing about his little analogy here is that unfortunately when you pistol whip someone, they tend to get like super pissed off and then attack you back. And that's usually what happens, and that's kind of the situation we're in with Iran right now, with the Strait of Hormuz. So it is kind of funny that he proposes this analogy but doesn't think it through. He just assumes that the pistol whip is going to take him out, like in a Steven Seagal movie or something. All right, I got to go to sleep. Sorry, I went down the rabbit hole. No worries. No, it was good content. Mr. Hulk Hobbs, have a wonderful evening and sleep well. I'll probably go for another hour or so.
You didn't set out to kill them all. What you set out is to knock them on their back, and that's been accomplished. So, yes, is there a need to get out? Is there a need for Trump to focus on the midterm?
Jamer says, I'm a random, but I had this debate in my watch later and thought I'd check it out, the react, while I saw you were live. While your live is up. Oh, well, I appreciate that. Up to the algo. Man, that's awesome that it showed you the video on the algo. Yeah, most of my content so far, well, not all. I mean, a lot of it's been kind of reaction and philosophical analysis of debates and stuff. Like, obviously, like on just kind of like the one-off video content, I can sit there and do research and address all the claims in detail. It's harder to do that live, obviously, because you're sitting there just reading like walls of text and stuff. But I want to get to the point where, you know, I've got that kind of an audience that'll sit there and watch me research and react to researching and stuff like that, and we just kind of like figure things out together. That's a pretty cool situation, I think. Pretty cool community.
Term, I agree completely. I said in my podcast 6 weeks ago, I do think it's time to start packing it up, declare victory, get out.
So the reason why there's no specific answer there is because you know you
I
can
just
give
gave
no
you
answer.
a specific answer.
The bad guys at the bar
is a
aren't dead?
redistribution of the fundamental architecture of power
yes,
in the
because
in
Saudi
the Middle East.
Arabia and the Gulf states, famously and historically known for hating the United States, these are already our trading partners and our allies. If these people were so adversarial against us, what are we even talking about when Bush talks about the axis of evil of Syria, Iraq, and Iran? Like, do you think that the whole Middle East is just poised against the United States, but somehow the petrodollar exists and we all trade with each other and we benefit from the oil markets and everything? Like nothing you're saying makes any sense.
You're not listening.
The reality
to me.
is, I am listening, but I don't know what bar fights have to do with the fact that history has demonstrated that your position is incorrect over and over again, and the fact that Iran is poised to emerge a leader now in the Middle East in a way that they never were before, which is why Israel, the people who kind of goaded Trump into attacking Iran in the first place, are the ones that are most against any type of deal that we're trying to make with them, because Israel recognizes that a stronger Iran means a stronger Hezbollah, it means a stronger Houthis, and it means a stronger Hamas, and that's what we're poised to see, because that's what Trump has given us, because he had no plan coming into this in the first place.
Your favorite word is poised. And by poised, what you mean is something is about to happen that has...
Another implication of his little bar fight analogy is that these guys that even if they did get knocked out in the bar and drug out, they're going to go home and tell all their friends, and they're all going to get pissed off and conspire against you in the future. Goes back to that text by Machiavelli, the Prince. He's like, if you wish to do harm to a man, do enough such that you need not fear his revenge. And Trump hasn't quite learned that lesson yet. He pisses everybody off and then leaves them able to, in the future, seek revenge. So, gorilla's gonna gorilla, yeah.
Hasn't happened that you want to pretend is real. So Iran is poised to become stronger than it ever was. Ridiculous statement. What I'm talking about here in a redistribution of power is relative. In North America, the United States has power relative to Canada, relative to Mexico. If Iran is weakened, that relatively strengthens Jordan and UAE and Egypt and Saudi Arabia. It relatively strengthens the Abrahamic alliance. This is the inevitable consequence of bringing one elevator down, the other seaside of the seesaw is going to go up. So I'm not saying that Saudi Arabia was unfriendly before and is friendly now. I'm saying that Saudi Arabia and Egypt, all these countries were nervously looking at Iran. Why do you think they're cheering the American action? Why do you think openly Muslim countries that would have a basis for solidarity with a fellow Muslim country, think of how pissed they have to be at Iran for them to cheer the United States and cheer Israel. This is not easy for them to do, and the fact that they're doing it shows that they have had it with Iran, and we are on the right side, and Trump is in the process of remaking the Middle East just as he set out to do.
I'll have to add that I wrote code to do the chat highlight, like my own code, and I have to like manually add all of the emotes into the code to get them to display. So
could continue on foreign policy, but it might be a good chance, given that it's almost a half hour that we've covered this. We could also transition into the economy. But I do want to give, if Stephen, if you feel like you have,
yeah, I mean, my thoughts are clear. I think history has not favored whatever weird version of Iranian favoritism you believe the Democrats are showing, and I think that the future will show that Iran is going to emerge from this much stronger than they were before. I mean, insofar as I guess like economic stuff, it's still kind of foreign policy-ish, but like the trade agreements that I remember we argued about this last time. We were supposed to have 100 deals in 100 days, and I said we had 0 deals. And I think now we're technically at -1 deals because now Iran is trying to attack the USMCA, which was the only trade deal he could even maybe take credit for because he's trying to destroy our trading relationship now with Canada and Mexico. But I'm sure you're going to tell me how actually we've somehow magically gotten trade deals with all these other countries around the world, but when we haven't. So yeah, go for it.
Well, let me focus, if I may, shifting the ground a little bit here, just because I want to stay on the.
Let's see. Has Trump secured any trade deals like he promised to do in his 90 deals in 90 days statement? Oops, I spelled trade wrong. That's not going to work.
Fundamental issue. It seems to me, okay, Iran is the fundamental issue on the foreign policy front. Seems to me the fundamental issue domestically is immigration. And here, Trump has a giant accomplishment that, not surprisingly, has gone unmentioned, and at least on your side, and that is he has sealed the border. This is a huge deal because when you have millions, if not tens of millions of people pouring in, when you have Democrats with a straight face telling us nothing can be done, even though we have immigration laws, even though this is illegal, nothing can be done about this. Either you agree to comprehensive immigration reform, which is massive amnesty and legalization, otherwise nothing can be done. And Trump is like, watch me. And basically in 3 weeks, the border is secure. So that was done. And that remains an accomplishment because, again, what's the alternative? What would have been happening had
it probably, if I had let the prompt go through, it probably would have figured it out in the output. Oh. I used to use Grok a lot, but it's just not very good anymore. They've I feel like I think Grok has well, okay, let me rephrase that slightly. I feel like Grok has nerfed the large language model portion of it in order to strengthen the video generation and image generation. Because the image and video has gone way up, but the LLM part of it has gone way down in quality for some reason. Legalized ranch. I don't trust Trump, but is it reasonable to believe he largely slowed border crossings? Yeah. I mean, I think that's a reasonable. Yeah. He's definitely shut down a lot of. Because under Biden, what the conservatives like to call open borders, it was a situation where they could show up at the border and proclaim themselves or ask for safe haven or whatever, and then they would be let into, and then they would do a background check on them to make sure they weren't affiliated with criminal organizations or terrorism or that type of a thing, and then they would be given safe harbor in America on a temporary basis, and then they were supposed to go to court, but a lot of them wouldn't go to court to follow up on the process, and they just stay in the country illegally. So that's kind of the loophole they had before, and Trump basically shut that down. So while they could still ask for that process, but now they have to stay in Mexico or whatever while the paperwork gets filed, and they can go to court or whatever. But so Trump has kind of put a stop in that process. So just by that alone, a lot of people aren't able to get in that were able to get in before. Of course, Trump claims now that 0 people have crossed over, and that's just bullshit, obviously. obviously some illegals are still sneaking in. But by the same token, he's put $170 billion to ICE through the big beautiful bill, which their budget was originally like 25 billion or 22 billion or something like that. And so he's basically like 7x their budget in the last year for marginal, it's the law of diminishing returns on that. So it's just a big waste of money. Like if they could do it with such less money, like they could just do what they did, shut down the border, and then if they find illegals, then they just deport them. But they're actually like actively going house to house in these cities and stuff and looking for them and just wasting tons of money doing that. Because they have like quotas they have to hit and stuff. It's my understanding. So they could do it. They could do it for such less money. They could save like $150 billion a year just like that. But it's like it's like theater pandering to his base. They're like, yeah, Trump's going out and getting all the escapees from the mental institutions and throwing them back in jail and cleaning up the country. But it's like a reality show almost. Like it's like $170 billion reality show. It's just goofy. And plus they're kind of like his own like kind of private army.
Kamala Harris come in. You'd have the Biden policy continue. You'd have the same lies surrounding the whole thing. Now,
no jobs, no immigrants.
How many illegal immigrants does Trump say came in under the Biden term?
Well, the number is debated, but it's somewhere between 5 and 8 million. It could easily be higher.
So is Trump lying every time he says 30 or 40 million?
Well, Trump is, I think, talking about the overall number. In other words, there are probably 30 to 40 million illegal immigrants in the country.
He says 40 million illegals came in under the Biden admin. So do you agree that Trump is lying when he said 30 or 40 million came in?
Well, I agree that Trump is a fabulist and says outrageous things and trolls people and
we call
makes
those
jokes.
Lies in the adult world. That's lies. So he lied then about the 30 or 40 million, right?
Yes, he did lie, but he lied about it in an atmosphere where the media has been lying to our face, the New York Times has been lying to us, CNN has been lying to us. So we are. So
it justifies Trump lying, even though he's supposed to drain the swamp. He just became the swamp.
No, the thing about Trump is he's a manifest, over the top exaggerator.
I'm surprised Destiny got Dinesh to actually admit that Trump lies. A fabulous. ICE got more money than the Marines. Yeah. I'm not sure exactly how much the Marines got, but the entire military budget was $1 trillion, and they got 170 billion between them and the Border Patrol. So that's almost 20% of the defense budget just to get rid of illegal immigrants. And the illegal immigrants are paying taxes. So they're paying like 90 billion in taxes a year, the last I checked. So you're spending 170, you're spending 2 times as much money as the illegal immigrants are bringing into the country to get rid of them. So you're spending 200 billion to get rid of 90 billion and money coming in as taxes, for like sales taxes, and some businesses, they take out the taxes before they pay the illegals. So it's just pretty funny. I mean, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever from like a financial perspective.
His own ego is so gargantuan, so Brobdingnagian, so huge that there's an element of self-parody to it. Trump in person is not like that, by the way. Trump in person is actually a very sweet man. He's very curious about people. He's not a narcissist at all. He shows an interest in you rather than himself. He met my daughter for the first time. My daughter was 21 years old.
By the way, the counter argument to that is that, okay, well, yeah, they're bringing in 92 billion a year in taxes, but their medical care is when they get sick or whatever, we have to pay for their medical care. So they're costing us all this money. That's why healthcare is so expensive. Blah blah blah. I remember looking this up. I don't know what the number is right now. I think I have it in my notes somewhere. Let me try to look it up. But it was a tiny fraction of what you would expect. I'll play this and then I'll look it up.
And he's basically asking her about Dartmouth and what it was like and what she majored in and what she wants to do with her life. And she was really quite stunned because he was, at the time, the president of the United States. So Trump is a little bit like Muhammad Ali. I just saw an interview a few years ago with Ali. They were showing him videos of his old self. I'm the greatest. And Ali was like, yeah, I was really something. And I realized for the first time that Ali knew that he was putting on an act. Ali was putting on the I am the greatest, the thriller in Manila, I'm going to kill the gorilla in Manila. This was all his shtick. And it's Trump's shtick. He does the same thing.
Do you think that there's a possibility that he might make himself endearing to you and your family because he knows that you'll go out and you'll make good propaganda pieces for him? Did that ever cross your mind?
Well, by that logic,
You want to know how much taxes Trump will pay for the Trump coin? Well, he'll owe taxes, I guess, when he offloads his shares. Speaking of the Trump coin, on January 18th of 2026 was the next vestment period. I think it was the third or the fourth one where he was able to cash out more of his shares. I'm not sure when is let me look up when the next vestment period is, but you could see the Trump coin. So right around here, he was able to sell more of his shares, and you can see he's been slowly selling off his other shares that became available to sell. And my guess is at some point he'll offer another, you can come have a White House dinner with the president again like he did before, to the largest holders of the Trump coin to bump the price up again. Look at that, man. He somehow got the price back up to $9 for a while there, but it's way down. It's down bad now. It's lost most of its value since this time last year. This time last year it was $9.60, and now it's down to $1.40. So, but he hasn't posted about it in a while on Twitter. When is the next vesting unlock period where I gotta look it up in Claude to get the good answer. Immigrants love a second language paperwork.
He should be nice to you also.
I mean, if I was nice to him, I'm sure he would be.
No. I mean, if all it took, I mean,
I'd like them to debate that topic. Oh, that's a loser. I don't think most MAGA people will admit that Trump is a narcissist. I've never heard anyone deny that Trump is a narcissist. So yeah, that's a crazy position to have.
If all it took was Trump having dinner with Maggie Haberman and she'd write a favorable book about him, then that would be a rather easy way to solve our political divisions.
You mean kind of like the meals that he's had with Bill Maher? Will Bill Maher has come out and said amazing things about him?
Probably because Bill Maher saw him up close for the first time and realized this is actually a pretty nice guy.
Or maybe because Donald Trump is a con artist who's made all of his money in reality TV and not real estate, and he makes a living by making
So the next unlock period where Trump will be able to sell more of his Trump coin is on August 18th. So actually in like 2 weeks from now to this day. Oh, he says Trump is not a narcissist. Damn. That is quite a statement. I would say for sure narcissist. What's your argument that he's not a narcissist? Your typical Kyle. Welcome in, by the way.
Strong impersonations on people like you and Bill Maher to get them to say nice things about him. I don't really care about Trump interpersonally, as a human being. I don't know why anybody would. We should care about him in his capacity as the president of the United States of America. If you're telling me that interpersonally he's this nice, humble man, but as the president, he's prone to exaggeration and falsehood, why would I care about how nice he is when you're playing bingo or cards? I care about him when he's speaking in his capacity as president of the United States.
The falsehood we're talking about is exaggeration, trolling, bombast.
He's a shtickman, ruled by the shtick. Argument is, has he been diagnosed? Oh, I have no idea. But you can make the argument that he hasn't been diagnosed, but does he exhibit all the symptoms of it? I mean, do you deny that if you went through the DSM-5 on all the symptoms of narcissism, that Trump doesn't have, like, almost every single one of them? Regardless of whether or not he's been diagnosed. I mean, you could just not go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist and just never get diagnosed and have narcissism easily.
And Trump is so manifestly doing this
He's
that I think
qualified to be president, I guess.
Well, I mean, look, here's what Trump will say. Trump will say something like, if the 2020 election hadn't been stolen, I could probably have won California. This is manifestly untrue.
10 times slower, I guess.
Trump actually knows it's untrue. But Trump is doing it because he knows the triggering effect it will have for him to say it. And that's why he says it, and that's why I support him saying it.
So it's okay to lie as long as you trigger people hard enough? Is that the rule that we're supposed to take?
No. Again,
that's essentially what you said, because you're saying he's just triggering people. He triggered his own side.
Just because you have symptoms doesn't mean you have it. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a psychologist. I don't know what the process for diagnosis is. But I'm guessing if I were to look up the symptoms of narcissism, inflated sense of self-importance and exaggerated achievements, check. Being deep in thought about endless power, success, brilliance, beauty, or ideal love, check. Belief of being special and only able to mix with high-status people or places, check. Heavy constant need for excessive praise or validation, check, 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 check. Expecting special flavors or blind agreement with their demands, check, 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 check. Exploitation, using and taking advantage of other people for personal gain, mega check. No empathy. Inability or unwillingness to care about the feelings and needs of others, check. Being envious of others or thinking others are jealous of them, check. Acting in proud, snooty, or condescending ways, check. He has every single one. Every single one. But you're describing most humans. Yeah, but Trump is like dialed up to 11, you know what I'm saying? I don't think
into a massive riot at the Capitol on January 6th. So I don't know what you mean when you're saying
look, this is
he's a narcissist. Dinesh brought up Ali and Shtick in relationship to Trump. He thought Shtickman was funnier.
Like Vogue magazine saying Michelle Obama is the most
I'm gonna run to the restroom. I'll be right back. I'll leave this going.
Beautiful woman in America. Right? Everybody knows it's false. Everybody knows it's a lie. Or Dylan McVaney is actually a gorgeous woman. This kind of...
Is this the same lie that Donald Trump tells us when he says he loves his beautiful wife when he was fucking a porn star, when she was at home taking care of their newborn child? I mean, what do you mean? Like, come on. Donald Trump is not a beacon of
no one
morality.
says that Trump hasn't been a playboy in his earlier days, but
Such a playboy that he had to
happily-
pay her for sex? Yikes.
Well, we can. A lot of this stuff is claims and counterclaims, and we also live in a system, unfortunately, where even juries have become untrustworthy in a
the ones that
polarized
vote against-
environment.
Yeah.
A case in point is the January 6th defendants. Most of those guys went before absolutely one-sided juries. 11 out of 12 Democrats, not a jury of their peers. Again, should they have broken into the Capitol? No. But were they over-prosecuted, over-punished? People actually took their lives over this incident, committed suicide. The Biden administration did that to them. And it did that to them, really why? Because many of those people were white, male.
Yeah, but Trump is like a billionaire, so he's definitely a narcissist.
Christian and conservative.
I think it was probably because they were riding
That's why
at
they
the
were treated
Capitol.
that way.
I think it was probably because they were riding at the Capitol with an attempt to overturn the results of the last election. I think it's probably more.
Some billionaires are definitely narcissists, but not all of them, right? Like Warren Buffett, I wouldn't say is a narcissist. He keeps a low profile, drives like old shitty cars and that type of thing.
More likely what was going on there.
How were they going to overturn those results? Tell me.
By preventing the certification of the vote.
Couldn't they meet tomorrow and do it?
I don't know how long they could have prevented it for.
Elon Musk's narcissist, though. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. That one's definitely would say Elon is narcissist as well. Zuckerberg, I don't know. Maybe. Let's see. I would say like a lot of the popular ones probably are narcissists. So you definitely have a point there.
Are you actually suggesting that these guys who went into the Capitol would occupy the Capitol, and then when the police showed up and the military showed up, they would nevertheless hold the Capitol and prevent the transition of power? I mean, you have bought into this fanciful cocoon of subverting the government, overthrowing the election. The thing is, you repeat this bullshit to yourself for years, and then you come to believe it. Those people who went there were screaming at their representatives to do something, to investigate the facts of the matter, which they never did.
Yeah, the facts of the matter were investigated.
They were
Donald
not.
Trump and Sidney Powell and
rubbish.
Giuliani, yeah, I agree, were rubbish.
How many chats are running? Are you talking about like how many places am I streaming to? I'm streaming to YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. So are poor people? Not all of them, man. There's a lot. Not everybody's a narcissist.
Lost every single court case they brought.
Not a single court case looked at them. Name one court case that looked at the merits.
What do you mean?
Did a single court case actually investigate the factual question?
First of all, over half of them did. Yes. Number one. Number two, if you can't make standing on a case, why should somebody even hear the merits?
There you go. So I'll tell you why. Because what the courts did, and courts are understandably...
Can you explain what is
let
standing?
me answer.
Explain what standing is and what merits are for the audience, I guess. Tell us.
Standing means you have to have a legitimate position to bring a case.
So how do you have a case with the merits and no standing?
Well, just to be
you
sure
asked me a question.
Yeah, I'm curious. How do you have a case that has merits and nobody was standing?
Yeah, I think like to have standing, it means like that you have a direct connection to the case, and then some type of harm has been committed to you. Like you have a legitimate grievance of some sort. Terrence Howard, oh yeah. Terrence Howard for sure. He thinks he's like rediscovered like all of science, redefined all of science, and he's like a mega genius god. And nobody can understand him.
Can bring the case.
Okay.
Just to be sure, do you feel like you got enough time to answer that one?
Well, let me just spell. I'm going to... Here's the thing about standing. The truth about standing is every citizen has a stake in the election. And so you would think that any citizen who brought a case on this matter, you'd be like, okay, let's look at it, right? There were a lot of, by the way, suggestive reasons. It's not as if this just came out of nowhere. The windows boarded up, stopping 5 places, stopped the count within a few seconds of each other. Think about this. Supposedly each state is conducting their own count. And yet they all stop the count at the same time. And to this day, you don't know, and I don't know, and he doesn't know who gave the order.
That's not true. None of this even happened.
Who gave the order?
The idea that all the states stopped counting at the same time.
They all stopped counting within a few seconds of each other.
No, they literally not.
Okay.
Literally
so why is it the case then that Trump was meeting?
None of this is true, but okay. There's a reason why you guys can't point to any court documents, any filings, anything that demonstrates the truthfulness of anything. It's why the only guys that defend this idea are the crazy My Pillow dude who sells pillows for $14.80.
Your typical Kyle says, my point is we see what personality they decide to show in public. We don't know them on a personal level. Everyone you meet will act one way around the public, but act completely different in private. That's true. Everybody wears a mask. Takes a while to really get to know someone. There are, of course, patterns. Once you talk to somebody for a while, you start to notice they start to drop their guard and notice. But some people are like flamboyantly narcissistic, like where you can just tell right away. Other people, it might manifest in like different ways. Like I would say there are actually like different types of narcissism. You've got like the flamboyantly narcissistic types like Trump. But then you also have the guys that are where it manifests in more of like a paranoid type of manner, where they're always like gaslighting and they're kind of like psychic vampires and everybody's out to get them. Like a paranoid narcissism. That's another manifestation of it, where they're not bragging about how great they are at everything, but it's more like how everybody's fucking them over and nothing is their fault or their mistake. That's another like manifestation of it, I would say. He's shown a lot of empathy and compassion. I don't think that's the case. Can you give me an example of that? I've never shown him show empathy or compassion to anybody. Sorry, too many Destiny clips.
88 cents on his website, Mike Lindell. Yeah, we can watch the video. We can watch. There's hours of footage of Sidney Powell lying to people, lying to these committees that are listening to them talk about all the fake votes. We can see the State Farm Arena footage where she says, "We don't know where the boxes came from. They were literally counting them. They put them under the table and then they brought them back out." The full video footage exists. There's a reason why they can't even make standing on these cases. You are right. There were a lot of people that would have had standing to bring these types of cases, but none of the cases had good merits, and the judges knew that people like you, who had nice interactions with Trump, would be doing propaganda for him. Even the ones that were thrown out on standing, the judges addressed the merits of those cases. If you'd read a single one of those decisions, you would have actually seen that. They had the ability to make all of this evidence public. Sidney Powell, Giuliani, where is it? Where is all of the investigation? Where's all of the public evidence for all of the Tina Peters people they had digging through these machines in the background? Notice that there is not a scintilla of positive evidence that there was a single vote that was actually changed or rigged or anything improper happened anywhere. Why did they lose on every single court case, even when there were judges that were looking over this that were Trump nominated, Trump appointed judges?
Yeah, so the judges were scared to get into it because, hold on, because a judge, by and large, is in the judicial lane, and they don't want to second guess an election process. It's too complicated. They've never done it before.
Remember Bush v. Gore? What about Bush v. Gore?
Hold on.
What are you talking about?
Let me give you the big picture here that I think will convince reasonable people that something fishy happened in a big way. I'm not talking about 10 guys from a nursing home. So Obama got 65 million votes in 2008. He got between 65 and 68 million votes in 2008 and 2012, evidence? His two elections.
Never heard of her. Oh, man. That reminds me of this channel back in the day called like the Del Rey Misfits. there's this goofy bodybuilder guy named Big Lenny that used to say stuff like that. I can't imagine being on stream. Trump isn't a narcissist. You have a mountain of evidence against the position. I'm just curious what he digs up about Trump showing empathy and compassion. Like, I don't... Unless it's some performative thing at, like, a funeral that he was speaking at or something, I can't imagine. Maybe, like, Lincoln Riley or whatever. Maybe he made a statement about that, but I don't know. Something non-political compassion.
Hillary got about the same number of votes, about 65 million votes. Kamala Harris, years later, with a demographic shift in the country, got close to 75 million.
Talking about a dude that was talking shit about, who was that Hollywood director that got murdered? And he was just talking shit about him the day that he got murdered. Talking shit about, I can't remember the exact wording. Princess Bride, right? Yeah, Rob Reiner. Due to the anger he caused others, or his, yeah, because, oh yeah, he posted that he died from his Trump derangement syndrome problems or whatever. Everything will be performative. He's a huge public figure, so the spotlight is constantly on him. It's a biased look. He's just not, yeah, but he's just not... I don't know. I've never seen, like, I've just never seen him have, like, a legitimate empathy, you know what I'm saying? So often motivated by self-interest. And I've seen him show the contrary of, like, actual empathy. He gave a bus driver $10,000 for saving a woman trying to end herself. What's the context? What's the context there? Like, how would he even... Yeah, I don't know. I remember my allowed an Orthodox Jewish family to use his private jet in order to seek urgent medical treatment for their young son. Well, I mean, that's a good deed, I guess, for sure. But, like, I mean... Yeah, I don't know. These are situations I don't know, like, what the context is or what his relationship is to these people or that type of thing. I don't know.
Million votes. Now, Joe Biden in the...
Like, obviously, one thing you could say about Trump is that he for sure takes care of his friends or people that like him. You know, like, or that are, like, pro-Trump, or they're, like, celebrities, or they're famous, or they've got money, or they've got connections or something. If they come out pro-Trump, like, he'll absolutely hook them up and take care of them and support them. Paid for his single mom's groceries. Well, I mean, any billionaire, we're definitely going to be able to find instances of philanthropy, to some degree at least. Sounds pretty human. That he tossed a lady some grocery money. I don't know. I would want to see something that's... Let's say, without knowing the surrounding context of any of these situations, like, I would want to see something where it's like something that didn't get any news coverage and that, you know, people write about him without his knowledge, or something that he's doing on like the down low that shows that he really cares or whatever, where it's not like something that he's like trying to get tweeted about, like, or like, I just helped a lady get a groceries, or, blah, 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 like, I don't know. I'm not explaining this very well, but isn't that how everyone is? If someone supports you and shows you respect, you'll treat them back with respect? Because he's a billionaire, it doesn't count? No, not necessarily. I mean, according to like Aristotelian virtue ethics, if being ethical is like training a muscle, or it's like getting a habit, like doing good actions is what eventually makes you like an ethical person. So if he was like always doing good things, then it wouldn't matter if he was a billionaire or not. But I would say that Trump, while he may do good deeds, he does many not so great deeds and can be actually quite cruel to people that he doesn't like. Do not give special treatments to people only because they kiss my ass.
The middle, Joe Biden. Joe, what's my middle name, Biden, gets 81 million votes. 81 million votes, which means that 15 million more votes than Obama mysteriously showed up for Biden, and promptly 6 million of them at a minimum vanished even after the 2020 election. So Biden, the guy who can't raise $100 to build his library because everybody basically considers him to be a vegetable and a pawn. This Biden is evidently the most popular figure in U.S. history, surpassing Obama and every other Democrat.
How many votes did Trump get in that election?
Which election?
The one that Biden got the most votes.
Trump got about 65 million.
Okay, how is it the case that under Donald Trump's presidency, where he is in control of everything, somehow he is able to rig it so that Biden gets more votes, or Biden's able to rig it while Trump is president, but then when Biden is in office, how is it that he's not able to rig it so that Kamala Harris, his vice president, wins the next election?
Well, I'll give you two answers to that question. The first one you already know, but you're pretending not to remember. COVID. COVID gave the Democrats a chance to change.
Who was the president during COVID?
But it doesn't matter who
was the president during COVID.
Who makes the rules of elections? The states do. Where was all the rigging? The rigging all occurred in Fulton County. It occurred in Phoenix, Arizona.
And they couldn't rig it again in 2024?
Philadelphia. So my point is, this is where the rigging occurred.
No, with no evidence, no proof, and it doesn't make sense.
What
It's
do you mean,
ridiculous
no
on its
evidence?
face. You know it's ridiculous, right? So the Democrats were able to rig it under a Republican president, but the Republicans can't rig it. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And then, not to mention the fact that the crazy story that you're telling, there's no facts or there's no proof for literally any of it. Despite all of this, despite the fact that Donald Trump has, by the way, he said every single election since like 2008 has been rigged. He came in 2016 and he put together a committee to try to find all the rigging. He found absolutely nothing. He's come in recently and he tried to find evidence of all the rigging, and he's found absolutely nothing, despite him sending his weirdo FBI agents and Tulsi Gabbard to Fulton County and all these other places to try to seize ballot boxes or try to seize voter rolls. We still have absolutely no proof whatsoever that the 2020 election was rigged, despite all of you guys repeating it over and over and over again. And I hear this crying about standing and crying about they didn't look at the merits. The reality is there's just no good evidence. And you know how we know that more than anything else? We know that because, one, every single anchor at Fox News knew that all of the vote rigging claims were bullshit. We saw that leak in the Dominion lawsuit. And we know that because we haven't seen any of the evidence publicly. We saw the same 3 videos played over and over again that were debunked literally 12 hours after they came out, and nothing new has come out since then.
Well, you're stating as fact things that are not fact. What the judges basically said is this: if you brought the case before the election, they go, well, the election hasn't happened, and so it's premature to bring the case. If you brought the case after the election, they go, oh, it's moot. The election's already occurred. So in either case, they denied standing.
No, that's
they denied
not
standing.
true.
It is true.
That,
they denied standing beforehand because it's premature, and they denied standing after because it's already done. It's a done deal.
The reason why they were denying it is because Republicans were trying to say that they didn't like the rule changes only in the states after they lost the elections. For you to contest
And let's look at those.
for you to contest a rule change after you lose, obviously makes it look like you didn't really care much about the rule change. All you cared about was the fact that you lost the election. The proper time to challenge those rule changes would have been through your state parliaments prior to the actual election itself. You can't wait till the election happens, say you don't like the rules because you don't like the results, and then the only
yeah, usually what you'll see happen in this debate is the MAGA guy will come right out and they'll say the election was stolen, it was rigged. And then whenever you really press them on the facts, like talk about all the dismissed court cases and all that type of stuff, usually they'll retreat back to, okay, well maybe there was one or two instances where there were some irregularities or things that need to be investigated further. So it's like it's the Mott and Bailey fallacy thing, where they retreat back to the easier to defend claim, and then later on they bring it up again in the debate that it was rigged or whatever, and they kind of slide between those two claims. My guess is we'll probably see him do that here.
Remedy that you offer the court is to throw out the results of that.
Might be jumping ahead of it, but we'll see if we notice that pattern.
Election, that's absolutely insane.
It's not insane. If a rule has been changed that is unconstitutional according to the state law, the election should be thrown out. That is actually the law.
Then they should have challenged it before then.
They did challenge it. The law says this. Look, I mean, I made a movie about this. I know.
Yeah, and I don't think you know how the governments work. All their parliaments have to, or all their state assemblies or their state legislatures have to do is change the rule or the law. Then that's all they have to do.
Right, but the state assemblies in Philadelphia and are controlled by the Democrats. The state assembly in Wisconsin is controlled by the Democrats.
It's all controlled by the Democrats.
Yeah,
then
that's why
then,
they rigged the procedures where they could rig them.
If it's all controlled by the Democrats, then it sounds like they had exactly the rules they wanted. So how can you say that the rules themselves were bad?
Because the rules were made under COVID to make it easy to cheat. So, for example, why would you be counting ballots after election day? Answer, it gives you more chance to cheat. In fact, it gives you more chance to know what the margin is and how many cheating votes need to be supplied. That is
because they were mailing them in because of the COVID stuff. A lot of mail-in ballots. That's why they were counting them the day after still. And obviously it was mostly Democrats that were doing the mail-in voting to begin with.
Very suspicious rule to make. Why would Democrats oppose cleaning up voter rolls? Because they know the voter rolls are completely padded with fake names. If you today, let's say you live in Texas and you move to Louisiana tomorrow, every government agency will know about it. The DMV will know, the tax authorities will know, the people in the new state will know, they'll be sending you bills. The one person who will not know are the voter rolls. Your name will remain on the voter rolls here. It will be added to the voter rolls there. You are now living in, think about it, in your lifetime, how many states you've lived in. There's a very good chance your name is on 7 or 8 voter rolls. And if the states try to clean them up, Democrats will file lawsuit after lawsuit to block it. Why? Because they're the party of cheating. Therefore, every time I read an article, there are 7 ways to fix our election.
Hey, what's up, Big Worm? How are you? It's been a while. Have you seen his documentary?
It's very...
Oh, man. Oh, I thought you were doing the accent with the documentary. That's hilarious. You actually had a typo there. Everyone just re-register and get their chips.
Very hard to fix our elections when one party has a vested interest. Recently, a leading Democrat, I think Elisa Slotkin, said, if you have voter ID, Democrats will never win another election. What does that tell you?
I'm not noble. No worries, no worries.
I hope that one day conservatives can come back to reality. These are all really wonderful stories, but again, like, history just disagrees with you. Like, you can spin all the stories you want, but the reality is that Donald Trump controls the government more than he ever has before. Where is the voter fraud evidence? It's nowhere. Donald Trump was president for 4 years when he claimed that there was rigging in the election, even that he said that he won because he lost the popular vote by 3 million votes. He claimed that there were millions of people that voted illegally. There are not tens of thousands, not even 100,000, but millions of illegal votes. And somehow, through all the Trump-appointed judges, through the Trump-friendly, some legislatures, through Trump-friendly politicians, through Trump-biased prosecutors, None of that evidence ever found its way in front of the American people. All the pieces of evidence that found their way in front of the American people, all of them were lies that were all debunked within 12 hours. Many of which he repeated on January 6th in front of his audience. So
you're,
I mean, like,
you're
I hope
adopting
that
the
someday we
Wikipedia
have, like,
strategy
beyond,
where something is debunked if, like, Solon says it is.
I consider it debunked when a prosecutor
so
tries to bring it
saying
before a
something is
judge, and the
debunked-
judge says, "Sorry, you have absolutely nothing here." That's what I consider debunked. Now,
Right,
I
and
know
that-
in your eyes it's not debunked until it shows up on WhiteHouse.gov and Donald Trump says that it's not true. But for the rest of us that are following the actual process and procedure, I think that the process and procedure is pretty important.
I agree, and I'm not saying that Joe Biden. I mean, this was an election legally stolen, okay? And so Trump exited the White House because he realized that the theft was successful.
Even that phrase, if it was legally stolen, then
legally
why would
stolen.
you challenge it in court?
Because judges look, it is an
If it
open.
was legally
hold on.
stolen, why
it
would
is
you
an
challenge it
open.
in court?
I'll tell you why.
None of this story makes
It is
sense.
an open secret of our elections. Let's take a judge, okay? And let's say the judge is now aware that large numbers of ballots went to homeless shelters, okay? Somebody else, not the homeless people, filled out all those ballots, voting for all the homeless people in exchange for $10 or a glass or a thing of beer. This happens all the time. This is, for example, an industry in San Francisco. But the judge is like, it would take me 2 years to bring these homeless people in. I would have to conduct a fact-finding investigation on my own. I am reluctant to meddle in an election process that belongs in the legislative branch. This is why judges pretend to look at the evidence while in fact looking for a way to kick the case out, even if they know the election is stolen.
It's not a judge's job.
It's a
to
jurisdictional
look,
issue.
It's not a judge's job to go out and look for evidence. That's the
I'm
prosecutor's
not saying they have
job.
to look for
That's
evidence.
the civil plaintiff's job, is to go out and find evidence. You know this because you tried to find evidence with your film 2000
And I
Mules.
did find
You
evidence.
didn't. I watched it all. You failed.
You watched it all. Yeah,
Yes,
really.
I
That's
did, and you
because
didn't
you
find
were on the
anything.
side that was doing the cheating. You're like, I don't
Molotov for legally stolen beer in the 1880s. Yeah, did they still? I know they used to, at least they would close the liquor stores on election day because there was an issue back in the old days where people would buy liquor for people in exchange for them to vote a certain way. So that was actually a thing, like back in the day.
I don't see any evidence right here. As a member of the Bank Robbers USA, I mean, I don't see the guy coming into the back door of the bank. That's probably a faked video.
It's not a fake video. I watched the video. You found people with suspicious routes, and you didn't show a single person that had been engaged in the fraud that you said that they were suspicious
Okay,
of being engaged in.
the thrust of the evidence had to do with electronic geo-tracking. Cell phone geo-tracking is one of the most reliable ways that people are convicted in this country today. It was used in the Koberger trial. It's used every day by law enforcement. We were able to place thousands of mules at 10 or more drop boxes. 10 or more. Not 2, not 3. Even if you're dropping off votes to your family member, you have no reason to go to 10 drop boxes.
These drop
their
boxes
cell
are
phones-
along commonly traveled routes. These drop boxes are sometimes next to post stations. You could have been tracking USPS workers for all you know. That's why, despite the fact that you have these thousands of geo-tracked cell phones, you couldn't find a single one of these people that were dropping off ballots at multiple boxes. Just a couple of these people would have made that 100 times more explosive, but you couldn't even find one.
First of all, that's not true. I don't necessarily want to go down
you
this
did
road.
find a couple. They sued you and they won.
No, they didn't
But-
sue me
but
and they
aside
haven't
from
won.
the people that sued you and won over you claiming they were
I mean,
they
you're
were
just
ballot
making
harvesting.
up stuff now. There's one case that is in litigation, so yes, I am being sued over it, but the case hasn't been resolved. So for that reason, I'm reluctant to go into specifics. It's just the nature of litigation. But I can talk about the geo-tracking evidence.
Edgar Allan Poe died in the gutter on election day? Really? Oh, that's the wrong spelling of Allen. Delirious, wearing someone else's clothes. Huh. He was unaccounted for 5 days. Outside of a tavern. Leading theories: kidnapping by voter fraud gangs who forced victims to vote multiple times in different disguises. Oh, wow.
Huh.
Oh, welcome back, Kyle. You're reading about Edgar Allan Poe. Apparently he was potentially murdered by voter fraud gangs back in the day. Pretty wild.
Geo-tracking, by the way, you can create a map where if a cell phone is moving and it goes past a Dropbox, that's completely different from a cell phone pausing at a Dropbox.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if he was joking or not. That's why I wanted to look it up.
And then moving on to the next Dropbox. Not all Dropboxes are in public locations. A lot of them were placed on side streets. You had to get off the highway, go to the box. So the canard that, hey, I'm a regular jogger and I happen to go by these 10 Dropboxes, that's not what's going on here. And we're not talking about one guy doing it. If one guy goes, listen, I've got a weird habit. I like to, whenever I see a Dropbox, I like to have a cigarette. We're talking about 2,000 mules.
2,000 mules.
And
Where
this
is
is
the
not
video
convincing.
footage? Where's the video footage of them? Where's the video footage of the same person moving to multiple Dropboxes then? Just a couple.
Right. First of all, I do have the same person on more than one Dropbox.
Why weren't they in the film?
They are in the film.
They aren't.
They are in the film. I have the same guy in different outfits.
Going to the same Dropbox. The same Dropbox. And that one guy was from an old person's home because that's one of the people that sued you guys. It's why the film got removed from the publishing website that it was originally on. I'm familiar with the case. Yeah.
You're misrepresenting the case. We never claimed that guy. That's a different situation with that guy. I'm saying we have film of the same guy on more than one occasion. So if someone is seen, first of all, let's back up for a moment. Most of these states, most of the Democratic
2000 Person Conspiracy. He made a documentary called 2000 Mules, which I'm guessing the mules were people carrying the votes, stealing the election for Trump or whatever, or not for Biden.
Same guy going to multiple boxes is not in the film. You can watch the film.
Most of the Democratic states did not do surveillance because they realized
the state doesn't have to. You can have a gas station with a camera set up. You can have a bank with cameras set up outside. There's a million different.
The election rules say
all
that
video
you should
surveillance.
Have 24. The election rules say you should have 24-hour surveillance of the Dropboxes. That is in the election guidelines, but guidelines are rules. A lot of the states did have Dropboxes. Some of them turned off the camera on the Dropbox. Some of them deliberately pointed the camera not at the Dropbox.
Now the Epstein guy was in charge of the cameras for the Dropbox.
I'm not saying it's an Epstein guy.
We have no evidence of any of this. This would have been a good argument to make in the film, but you didn't make any of these arguments in the film. The cameras were turned on and off.
We use footage when the camera is pointed at the Dropbox. But if a camera is pointed at a tree, it doesn't work in a film because all you see is the tree and you can't actually see the Dropbox. So I'm just telling you the factual infrastructure around all this. The Democrats, by the way, if you ask them, can you give us the surveillance footage for the states? They will bill you thousands of dollars. They will take months to provide it. And why? If it was all on the up and up, it's all transparent, why don't you put all the surveillance footage online? Why don't you let the American people see what happened actually in real time at all these? What is the reason for concealing all this evidence if it's all according to you on the up and up?
I want to, if Stephen,
why would you?
If you want to give a pithy response, I can give you a chance because I know Dinesh made a number of points there, but I also do want to because we only have about 27 minutes left.
Sure, I can think of a million reasons why you wouldn't want every single publicly recorded camera to have all of that footage placed online because people probably wouldn't want to feel like they're being tracked or stalked by people that are looking to try to find them in public cameras.
But we have public cameras now, and what I'm saying is voting is a public act.
In some ways, it's a very private act. Nobody should know what your vote is.
It's a private act if it's behind a curtain at a voting facility. The whole point of having... all the safeguards of voting...
When you're trying to... Hold on. I want to follow that comparison. You realize like halfway through that was a ridiculous comparison, right? The idea of the closed curtain is the same thing as writing in your mail-in ballot. It's a private vote. Nobody has a right to know
It's not true. Let me put it this way. Let me prove to you why what you're saying is idiotic.
Okay.
If I go to vote at let's say the post office, so if I go to a school where they're conducting votes, right? And they hand me my ballot, and I go inside the little cubicle, and then I come rushing out, and I tell the people, hey, listen, guys, I just remembered I've got something really important to do. I want to take my ballot with me. I'll fill it out. I'll come back and drop it off later. Would they allow it? No. They'd be like, we can't trust you. You can't leave this facility. Who knows what's going to happen the moment you step out of here? That's basically mail-in balloting.
Then why hasn't Trump made it illegal yet?
Trump can't make it illegal.
Why has Trump himself voted with mail-in ballots?
Trump does not have...
Why hasn't Trump found any of the voter fraud that he claims?
If you have fake a ballot and an identity, if you bust people, they would need new identities at every stop. Yeah, if they were using like the same people over and over again. I think I'm not sure. I think one of the conspiracies was they were using the illegals, or just filling out ballots for people. I'm not sure exactly what all of. What are my views on voter ID? I think you should have to present at least your driver's license. Yeah, Arya's barking her head off in the background in the living room. Yeah, I think you should have to at least show your driver's license or your ID or photo ID. I mean, I don't mind the voter ID thing that much. I wish you could just kind of like get it like the day of, or like rush it, because like when I got ready to vote, mine had been like, I had lost mine, and then they wouldn't let me vote. So, and it took like 30 days to request another one. That's in Oklahoma. So I couldn't, in Oklahoma, you cannot vote without voter ID. So I wasn't able to vote in the last election. But I got it taken care of now. But I mean, I think it's okay. I don't have a problem with voter ID. I think it's probably good. And the nice thing about it is that it'll shut up a lot of the complaints about, or the conservatives have. I mean, at the very least, if you have a driver's license that shows that you're an American citizen, I think that's probably good. But voter ID's fine with me. Illegals can't register then?
If they're states' rules, then it's a states' rights issue. Then leave it to the states to figure it out. If you don't like how they do it, Texas v. Pennsylvania, they lost that case there. You don't have a right to tell another state how to do their vote. Sometimes I notice that states' rights are very important to conservatives. Other times they seem not to care. But
go deeper on this.
Well, confusing. I'll just finish my point. You're confusing what states have the power.
I think you should be able to show up to like the voting booth, and if you have a driver's license and stuff, and you can show that you're an American citizen, they should be able to register you to vote there on the spot, and then you should be able to vote. That's a better way to say what I was trying to say. You should be able to get a voter ID the day of if you have sufficient documentation.
Or to do, or the right to do, with the vulnerabilities in our system, regardless of who does it. Mail-in balloting is less safe than voting in person. That's a fact. You want to camouflage that fact, so you're now changing it to a jurisdictional issue.
I guess they don't do that because they would have to do, because felons can't vote, I think, so they would have to have a background check or something. Is probably why maybe why they don't do it like that. But I guess they could set it up where it's like you're buying a gun, where they run background checks on people, but there might be too many people to do that. That might be the reason why they don't do it on the spot like that, though.
Of who has the power. I agree states have the power, but I think states should limit mail-in balloting to people who are sick, people who are traveling out of the country. There should be the possibility of doing it.
Sure, let's limit it to the sick people are traveling. How do you prove that you're sick? Do I have to send in a positive
How do you think
COVID
we did
test?
absentee ballot?
In some places, probably not in New York, not very many of them. Reasonable take. If you need an ID to buy a firearm, a tattoo, purchase alcohol, join the military, drive a car, etc., you should need an ID to vote. Yeah, I agree with that.
In this country for the last 100 years.
You request a ballot and they send it to you. You think you have to send them a doctor's note along with your ballot that the
Because like if you don't need an ID to vote, you could just show. I mean, you could literally just show up and vote multiple times, because there would be no record of you. I mean, I guess. Yeah, I mean, like you would have to. It seems like you would have to show. It seems like you would have to show your voter ID or your driver's license just to know if you're at the right place. Because like it's by. The place that you show up to vote is like you're supposed to be living in that neighborhood or whatever, or that area, the general area. That's how they like it decides like which voter place to go to. It's like, how do they even know that you're from that area if you don't have an ID? That's weird. I'm not sure exactly. I know some people in California, so I might ask them exactly what the situation is there with voting, because I don't even know how they would tell. I don't know how they would tell, like, if you're even allowed to vote or not. I don't know. Seems weird. Minnesota will let you register the same day. Oh, see, that's good. And vote provisionally.
Guy has to.
Oh, and then if you have a criminal background or something, they just don't count the vote or whatever. Completely logical and reasonable to show ID to vote. I think so.
Check out and then call your principal to make sure that you're actually sick and you weren't just playing hooky?
The system was based on a certain degree of public trust, but the truth of it was this. The truth of it was that mail-in balloting or absentee voting was a tiny percentage, 3 or 4% of the overall vote. When it becomes 30 or 40%, think of the rampant opportunities for cheating.
It was that way during COVID because people were afraid of getting sick.
Correct. And it was exploited. That's why Jane Fonda said COVID was God's gift to the left. And what she meant by it is it gave us the chance to steal the election.
What do you think? I'm just curious.
I need to do it just because.
I'm not even sure, like who doesn't have an ID? Like, I hear that counter argument people make that some minorities don't have IDs, but I just don't think that's the case. I mean, maybe I'm naive, but like, I mean, I watch a lot of these cops episodes and stuff on TV or not TV, but like YouTube and stuff, like all these police videos, the police slop. And like even like homeless people, and I mean all these people, they seem to have like IDs. Almost always. Now they don't always want to show the cops their IDs, but like it seems like, I don't know, like I don't think it's like that much of a thing where people don't have IDs and can't afford to get them. I don't know. And I mean, I think there should be a program, perhaps, if they do implement a law to show the ID, that if you don't have a job or something, or you're homeless or whatever, then maybe you should be able to get it for free, just subsidized by the government. I think that should be like a government policy. Free IDs for all citizens. There you go. That's much cheaper than free healthcare. You give them a free ID, and it helps the government track you and stuff. So, yeah, pretty much everyone has ID, I think. Yeah, exactly.
Because we've covered the topic so deeply, is a couple of example questions. These are optional. You don't have to take these questions, but in terms of covering other topics, one would be executive power. Has Trump used presidential authority legitimately to overcome an unaccountable bureaucracy or dangerously weakened checks and balances? Or,
well, if they're stupid, they may not have one, I guess.
We could cover the economy, namely whether or not ordinary Americans are better off today compared to when Trump took office.
I'll take both very quickly, and then you can go after me. So I'll start with the first one. Just remember what the Democrats and the left said about Trump, and still say about Trump. He's a fascist. He has no sense of the limits of power. He will run roughshod over the judges. He will do whatever he wants. He will go after his political opponents. Now, here's the fact. There have been numerous judicial rulings that have gone against Trump. There have been MAGA conservatives who have urged Trump, ignore the ruling. Just go ahead and do what you want. The judges are wrong. They don't have the power to do it. Every single ruling that has been made against Trump, the Trump administration has complied with. So you got to stop this, stop it. You got to bring this criminal illegal back, bring him back. In every case, Trump has shown himself hedged in by the rule of law. So has he exceeded his power? No. He's used his power, his executive power, the same way Biden did, the same way Obama did. Yes, he has made executive decisions, but when those decisions have been struck down by courts, Trump is basically, he might appeal it, but that is called following the system. Now, are you better off than you were?
Since Dinesh mentioned the claim, do you guys think Trump's a fascist?
Under Biden.
What can we do these? Let's do these. Can we do them one at a time?
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Voting and the right to bear arms and the freedom of speech are probably the most important rights, in my opinion. And you need an ID for most things except vote. Crazy. Yeah, did you see that guy, the cowboy guy, with the silenced pistol, shooting the Idaho shooter that in and out or whatever? It's going viral on Twitter. All the super 4A guys are retweeting it.
I gotta try this strategy, just making stuff up all the time. I guess it seems like an effect.
I live in Oklahoma, so here you can literally walk around like the Wild West with a holster and stuff strapped to your waist without any license to carry or anything needed.
Way
Name one court decision that Trump has flouted.
The tariff one. He said that he was going to do tariffs and other means possible. He listed like 12 other laws by which he could do tariffs.
Because Trump has other forms of authority to do
I'm
tariffs.
just saying, I just named one. That's him doing it.
The tariff
Donald Trump
power
has no
is not
respect for the
purely
rule of law.
legislative.
That's why you don't vote, because you're not educated enough. Well, you know, you got plenty of time to to read up. Well, actually, I don't even know. How often do you guys have elections in New Zealand? I'm not sure how frequent they are. I think we looked up some stuff about your country one night, but I can't remember.
Trump is constantly attacking our judicial system.
You mean rhetorically?
It's enough to get you to say that all the election results were fake, despite all the.
I'm not saying it because of Trump. I've looked at it myself.
Not just rhetorically. We can look at the fact that we're still in war with Iran.
In fact, I don't
the fact that we didn't get a vote on it. We can look at the fact that he tried to sneak the Alien Enemies Act in on a Friday night so that he could fly people out of the country, and he did that just trying to escape any kind of judicial review on it. We can see with how they refuse to appoint real attorneys. Lindsay Halligan has gotten thrown out of her appointed position over and over and over again because they refused to appoint or actually get a Senate confirmation on a new prosecutor there. And they're trying to say that the 90-day limit can actually be reset every single time you appoint a new person. I mean, we can look at example after example after example of Donald Trump.
Is Smith and Reston 5.7? That guy saved potentially a lot of lives. See, is he the? I didn't follow up on it today. Did he actually? Did he actually shoot the killer? I saw the video footage of him firing the shots and then diving into the bushes. But I didn't know if he actually hit the guy or not, or if he just caused him to retreat and then the cops got him later.
Abusing the powers of the White House, of him ignoring.
But I did see today that he got apparently somebody made his skin for him on Call of Duty. So he's actually like a Call of Duty character now, apparently.
The executive agencies that exist under him. We went to war with Iran while the head of our intelligence community, Tulsi Gabbard.
Unless I fell for fake news, that's possible. Because I did not fact check that.
Says that the White House all but didn't consult, basically, essentially at all, the intelligence committee on whether or not they should have actually gone to war there. I mean, that we can see that we can see the amount of political prosecution that's happening. We've got the crazy indictments on Comey. We've got a DOJ that is just completely and totally out of control. We've got a dismissal on things that all of us should agree as Americans we don't want here, like Russian propaganda through the form of tenant media. We see that Donald Trump dismisses all of these things that are in favor of helping his allies, and we see him attacking his adversaries. I mean, geez, what equivalent past president on the Democratic side or the Republican side has gone onto a social media account and said, "Here's the prosecutor I want, Lindsay."
Nice, that's good. That's good. He should have just did that to begin with, rather than killing innocent people. But
Halligan, here are the 3 people that I want indicted.
Or better yet, go check himself in somewhere.
I think it was, what was it, Bolton, Comey, and Letitia James, and then seeing the actual DOJ follow through on that. When has that ever happened in U.S. history before?
Yeah, well, I know it's happened in U.S. history before because it happened to me under Obama.
Yeah,
Did they find like a manifesto or something where he like told what his motive was? Or usually they have some kind of a manifesto or something.
Make a film about Obama.
No.
And 5 weeks later, the FBI is banging on my door. I am aware that there was direct communication from the Holder Justice to Bar Mitzvah, where Holder described himself as Obama's wingman. How do I know Obama was pissed off about my film? Because he was attacking me daily on his website, otherwise called BarackObama.com. So the truth of it is, I upset him. And I upset him not just because I criticized Obamacare. I'm not saying any of that. I went into his world. I showed his crazy family. I interviewed his brother in the slums of Nairobi. I juxtaposed this guy living in third world slumdog millionaire conditions with Obama claiming that we are brothers.
Huge rise in mental illness. Does seem to be the case. Of course, you always... I think more people are getting diagnosed with it now is also a thing, probably, but there does seem to be a rise in it. I had to dig deeper into the data on that. Because, like, I know they diagnose way more often now than they used to as well. In order to get people on all the meds and shit, probably. They do get it. I'm sure that doctors get incentives on how much they prescribe people. Diagnosis is on the rise, yeah. Yeah, because like back in the 50s and stuff, people just didn't go to psychiatrists and stuff very often, I think, unless you were rich.
Keeper. I basically exposed his hypocrisy, his narcissism, and so I ticked him off. And he was like, get this guy, find something on him. And so I was prosecuted for an offense that no American has ever been.
I think most of the people that went to see like the early psychiatrists like Freud and Jung and stuff were pretty rich. Yeah. Well, Professor Dave was talking about it with regard to what do you call it? 1 in 4 women take psych meds, says your typical Kyle. Autism. He was talking about it with regard to autism diagnosis, I think. Let's see. The percentage of women take psych meds in the USA.
Prosecuted for in this country's history for doing what I did. So there you go.
What was the offense?
What the offense was donating $20,000 of my own money to a longtime college friend of mine running in an election in which she had no chance because I was guilty that I couldn't do more to help her campaign. I felt bad.
That is correct. It looks like exactly 24.9%. Now I'm curious how many men. Okay, so 13.4% for men. So my guess is for men though, they probably go in less to get diagnosed than women do. Probably has a lot to do with that. Cuz like I know personally, I would literally never go to a psychiatrist, probably. Unless I was seeing some aliens and shit. It would have to be getting bad out there. But luckily, I have pretty good mental health, I think, so.
Campaign finance laws exist for a reason, usually to punish quid pro quo.
24.9%, so basically 25%, Rich.
I given her the money and said, if you're elected, I want to be a judge, or I have a business and I'm courting a tax break. People have been prosecuted rightly for that. But no American in the country's history, a first-time offender, for giving 20 grand of their own money. Think about it. People like Soros give millions through PACs. So normally it's you get a fine, you get a warning. But the government, I sat down across from the lawyers of the SDNY. If they could have put me in jail for 20 years.
Oh, that's a good point, Jamie. Factoring alcohol as a mental health treatment. Yeah, a lot of people probably rely on that.
For doing what I did, they would have done it. They were talking about the fact that if you don't plead to this, we will hit you with mail fraud. And this is what they mean by mail fraud. Putting a check in the mail. We'll hit you with...
I'm kind of lucky because, like, there are people in my family that are alcoholics. Like, I have uncles and stuff. Especially on my mom's side, but also on my dad's. One of my uncles is. And, but luckily for me, like, I don't know, like, alcohol makes me sick. I really can't drink very much. Or I can drink, like, a lot of, like, something like, vodka Red Bull. But, like, there was that one stream where I drank a bunch of Fireball, and then I got sick from that, and now if I take like one sip of Fireball, it makes me like start gagging, so I can't even hardly drink that anymore. So yeah, I'm just not much of a drinker myself. Just my body just doesn't seem to agree with it. It just kind of rejects it for some reason. So it's got to be like very smooth, like some champagne or something like that. Pretty sure alcohol is the worst addiction to have. Probably because a lot of people don't see it as an addiction. They see it as like a normal thing, and it kind of just slowly takes over. Like, I watched a police video earlier where it was a nurse, and, she had a high-paying job and everything, and she hit some dude on a motorcycle, and now she's got 6 years in prison. The dude died. Pretty crazy. But, I guess, I don't know, she was drunk in the middle of the day. Just broad daylight. Yeah. Alcohol is bad. Bad news. It can be fun, if you're doing it to have a good time, but if you're doing it to cope with sadness or something, it's pretty bad, I think. I was gonna make an edgy joke, and then you said that. Hey, Tibrelic, you can always go for an edgy joke here. I will definitely allow it. As long as it's not, against the terms of service. I think it's due to people who are addicted can't just quit because their body requires it to live. That's a thing, too. Like, you can't just quit alcohol cold turkey if you're, like, an alcoholic, because your body's become dependent on it. I do like edgy jokes. Like, if I watch a comedian, he's gonna be an edgy comedian for sure. Something dark and edgy.
Bank fraud, and here's what they mean by bank fraud: taking my own 20 grand out of
different chemicals for different
my own
roads.
bank account. That's the bank fraud.
Was that really the bank fraud, or was it the fact that you were trying to conceal the extra $10,000 you donated by passing it through to family friends?
No,
I
wasn't
two other people.
concealing
The
it.
reason why it was going to be a mail fraud or wire fraud is because you were sending them checks. You were lying about what the checks were for because you knew that you were breaking the law, and you had another couple donate $10,000 on your behalf.
Right. Well, I had two people that I knew. I told them openly. I go, "Do you
They
like
were helping
Wendy
you
Long?"
break the law. You knew that, but why didn't you just donate the $20,000 yourself?
Because there were right. So I
Because you
thought
know it was
this-
illegal. Yes,
No,
that's why you prosecuted you for
thought
it.
No, I thought it was a clever way to get around the campaign finance
Yes,
limit.
that's called breaking the law.
I admit
That's
it.
like if I go to Walmart, if I put a Kit Kat bar in my pocket, that's a
Okay.
clever way of getting candy bars without paying for it. Yes.
Right. And do you think that somebody who takes candy bars without paying for it, now the person who takes candy
my
bars
God.
without paying for it is taking somebody else's money. We're talking about giving my own money, right? So we're now talking about me giving.
I can't believe he said that. I thought it was a clever way to get around the campaign finance laws. He said right openly. Yeah. Oh, man. Don't quote me on it, but I think I read somewhere that alcoholics depend on alcohol to survive. The body needs it to function. It uses alcohol to create energy. Yeah, I think it actually converts. I think you can actually convert it into like glucose energy or something after a while. I believe there's something to that.
Giving away too much of my own money. I mean, you should have seen when I went to the confinement center with hardened criminals. They're like, what'd you do, man? I'm like, I gave away too much of my own money. They were like, you're shitting me, right? They're like, what'd you get? I'm like, I got 5 years of probation. This guy goes, well, I'm a drug smuggler. I got 2 years of probation. In other words,
he should have waited to do it until Trump was in office, and then Trump could have just pardoned him, like he seems to do with all of his criminal friends. Regardless, you can sit here and make jokes
what I'm
about it. If
saying
you don't
is,
like the law, that's fine. But there was a campaign finance law that limits you to $5,000 for an individual contribution, $10,000 for couples.
Correct.
And you tried to get around that law. Now, as for a quid pro quo, you don't necessarily have to allege that. But the allegation was that the group of friends that you were hanging out in, you mentioned that film about Obama. One of the people that was hanging out in that group of friends that was friends with the politician running that you had managed to illegally donate through a roundabout way, an extra $10,000 to, that person that was in that group of people was.
Sabrilic says, I went through the process of getting out of alcoholism, and I was clean for that week, but the hard part of quitting is the habits, feeling normal again without it. Yeah. Probably the best way to do it is cutting the amount in half, like every week, and then cutting it in half, and then cutting it in half, and then you kind of just like slowly tear off of it little by little, or maybe even 25% a week. Cut until you're drinking almost nothing every day. Maybe something like that would be good.
Was one of the primary funders of that film that you made about Obama. Now, I'm not saying that
That's
Obama went
because
after
Wendy
you
and
because
I
of
have
the primary
friends in common.
funding of the film or
We
whatever.
came out
But
of
I'm saying you very
darkness.
Getting new hobbies, yeah, true.
clearly and openly broke a law that you knew was a law. You saying here that you were trying to cleverly get around it demonstrates the mens rea, the criminal intent to get around a law that you knew.
Of course, maybe maybe that's not the best advice. Take that with a grain of salt, because I've heard before that people say if they have like one beer, then they can't control it anymore. Like they just go all in with it. So I don't know if that's maybe the best advice, but that might just be because they went cold turkey, and so the one beer lets them get back in. Maybe if they were slowly going off of it, I don't know. Take that with a grain of salt. I'm not an expert on addiction counseling or anything like that. That's for sure. The best way is to decide to do it. Yeah. I mean, there was some clip of Joe Rogan I saw earlier where he was saying people should do that ibogaine treatment. It's like some kind of a psychedelic drug that supposedly makes it easier if you do this treatment with it to get off of substances. But I have no idea if how much research has actually been done into that. He was talking to. It was a clip of him meeting with Trump about it. So take that with a grain of salt as well. When the source is Joe Rogan and psychedelics. One beer and he has to get shit faced. Yeah, luckily for me now, like I don't know. For some reason, I just never, I don't know. I don't have the alcohol thing. For some reason, I don't know why, but my sister's got it. She can drink a lot, but
knew existed, and you knew this because you'd served on it was like the campaign finance board or whatever for that either that same friend or a prior election, so you knew what these laws were. So
she doesn't drink as much now. She's turned Muslim, so she's I don't know how much she drinks, to be honest. She might still drink. I don't know. But allegedly, she doesn't anymore.
I mean, you could try to pretend that like it was a whatever thing. But
I'm
I mean,
not
like, you knew
saying-
you were breaking the law. You got prosecuted
I
for
wanna
it.
give Dinesh a chance to respond,
I knew
and then-
I was trying to get around the law, and I was willing to take any punishment. See, with justice, it's not just a matter of did you do it. If you were speeding, you knew you were speeding. True. But the issue is, is the punishment
Alpha brains though, and the water supply to buy Joe his 5th bunker. Does he have bunkers at his house and stuff?
proportionate to the offense, and B, to other people who do the same thing get roughly the same penalty. My whole case was based on selective prosecution, political targeting, and excessive punishment. The same with January 6th. I know.
I mean, sorry to keep pausing, but if I was a billionaire, I would definitely have an underground bunker. Like, I would have like a underground mansion bunker or whatever that would like withstand nukes. And I'd have like all the end of the world shelter supplies and shit, just because that would be cool. Like, I saw one mansion tour on YouTube, and the guy had like a swimming pool and like a full gym and everything. Yeah, it was like a full fallout shelter underground, and he had like all his food supplies and stuff where he could survive for like 20 or 30 years or something. And then they had all these computers set up to like teach their children how to learn shit while being in the underground bunker, and it was pretty cool. It was literally like a fallout shelter from the game.
A guy who was in the Capitol for 10 minutes. He didn't touch one thing. He stayed within the ropes, and they were trying to go after him on a terrorism charge, and the guy hanged himself. Now, is that considered a proportionate penalty?
What's the guy's name so we can look it up to see if that's all he did afterwards?
His name is Matt. Do you guys remember his name?
I didn't know the law, but I knew to give it to friends to get around it, and I was willing to take the punishment, but now I'm gonna say it was unfair punishment. Yeah, he's just annoyed that he got held accountable for breaking it, because he thought he could get away with it because he thought the law was stupid, I think is the takeaway there. It's like when he was telling that story, he's like, I told the guy I was in jail with I got in trouble for giving away too much of my own money, you know? It's like... Yeah, I think he just thought he could get away with it and didn't see a big deal with it.
Every single time you guys give one of
his
these
name
people-
is Matthew Parna. Look him up.
Okay, well, look him up, because every time you guys give one of these people, he was there for 10 minutes, he didn't do anything. I look him up, and they're like the most deranged people that were
No.
at the Capitol. They're hanging
Look
from
him
the
up.
rafters, they're running
Look him
around
up right now.
screaming, they're attacking people. Yeah, we'll look him up.
Yeah, look him up.
And then if we go back to Trump's executive use of power, anything else you guys want to cover on that topic? Otherwise, we could go to that last question on ordinary Americans.
I mean, Trump seems to not understand the function and the role of government. It seems like he doesn't even use all of his executive agencies. He just runs everything out of the White House. So, I mean, we've never seen a president operate so free from his Congress and free from his own executive agencies before. But
I'm kind of inclined, if you want to respond, Dinesh, we can. Otherwise, we might move into that question of whether or not ordinary Americans are better off compared to when Trump took office.
Yeah, why don't you go first, and I'll go after you.
yeah, I mean, the economy has been, I think, largely buoyed by a lot of the AI and tech stuff, at least insofar as like our 401ks are concerned. So if you have any investment there, you see that number go up. But in terms of the affordability for things around the United States, I don't think Trump has done much to help us at all. I think the whole Iranian war thing has led to an increase in what energy prices would be otherwise. I think that even for this AI tech industry, the White House has shown that it's woefully incompetent when it comes to actually regulating or giving guidelines to that environment for how they should work. We just recently saw
You should look him up. Quick fact check. Yeah, I do fact checks. Let me look the guy's name up on the transcript here real quick. Matthew Parna. Huh. Am I spelling it wrong? Matthew Parma? Hmm. Let's see. Parma man charged with helping set fire to parking booth during 2020 riots in downtown Cleveland. Oh, wait. I think this is, okay, this is like a town name. Okay, I'm not seeing any information about this guy. Actually, let's just try Matthew and Dinesh D'Souza. Hmm. Yo, what's up? I'm Arounder. How are you? Am I still grinding pokers? I haven't played in a while. Taking a break from poker, but hope you're doing well. Have you been playing a lot? I knew a guy who was in the Capitol for 10 minutes. He didn't touch one thing. Okay, so... Wait, Matthew... January 6... Perna. Here we go. Died by suicide while awaiting sentencing on charges of witness tampering, entering and remaining in a restricted building or grounds, and 2 counts of disorderly conduct. According to a statement of offense, he traveled from PA to Washington. He later stated to police that upon reaching the top of the steps on the west side of the building, he found an open door and was subsequently pushed into the building by the crowd that formed behind him. He recorded himself on his phone chanting USA, USA with the crowd. He later told agents he tapped a window with a metal flagpole and after becoming frustrated. In which he recorded a video with 2 other people. He made the claim that people with Antifa were chiefly responsible for breaking the doors. The FBI shared a photo of him. He was recognized by a person familiar with Perna who pointed to Perna's alleged support for Trump and QAnon. Yeah, it sounded like, it looks like he went inside the building and was not... He claims he got pushed inside of it against his will, but then he was apparently chanting and engaged it with using a metal flagpole to hit windows and stuff. So, it doesn't sound like he's completely innocent. He's at least trespassing. Yeah. At minimum.
This huge turmoil where they're selectively telling certain companies that they can't publish new models or not.
It's my political affiliation. Right now, it's Democratic Party is who I'm registered to on my voter ID. Oh, he threatened Mike Pence. I would say, however, that I don't fit super cleanly with either, I would say, but definitely pretty, like, I'm more of like classical liberal free market capitalist type. But yeah, right now definitely more on the Democratic side. My respect you for doing this sort of stream. They're very helpful. Thank you. Thank you, Grand Gator. Appreciate you. Welcome in. Tapped a window with a metal flagpole. That's what it said. So in other words, it sounds like he was trying to break the window. I mean, that's what he told. After he became frustrated, he started banging on the window. Yeah. That's weird. So it sounds like he had a metallic object in his hand and was getting rowdy.
Obviously, our relationships with our foreign trading partners, everything, are completely in shambles. So, all the increase in the cost of lumber and everything else is like
an old school liberal. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, that's a fair characterization. I'm a fan of like John Stuart Mill and those types of guys.
led to an increase in housing prices. We've had to do bailouts for our farmers because of the stupid game we're playing.
Witness tampering is so much worse than tapping windows. Why go that far? I mean, it sounds like he was there on January 6th, and he was right there against the building whenever they were starting to go in, and then somebody broke the glass, and he got pushed in and went ahead and went in and got caught up in the moment and did some stupid shit he shouldn't have done. And then it looks like the FBI had footage of him on the cameras, and they tracked him down and arrested him, put him in jail, and then while awaiting trial, he committed suicide, is what it looks like. If only he had known that he would have got a full pardon from Donald Trump. If you want to change the rules, then do it. Don't just ignore them. Government 101.
With soybeans and everything between us and Venezuela and China. I mean, it's been a disaster in almost every single measurable way, but I'm sure you're about to tell me why all of that is not true, and there's a good Trump economy right around the corner.
Well, I mean, it's striking to me that when the question is very direct and
You're a conservative? I had a feeling you were, just from some of the stuff you said about Trump earlier, but it's all good. I don't mind. Maybe we'll convert you. Maybe you'll turn away from the dark side of Trump. Low key, I was in the middle of watching this debate, and you happened to be exactly at the spot I stopped. Nice. Yeah, it's good to have you, Taberlik.
personal.
It's really cool. Like, my YouTube stream is doing pretty good tonight. Got 15 viewers. That's really good. My new to the debate scene tab. I was doing a lot of this type of content about 6 months ago or so. I watch debates all the time, but I was doing a lot of this type of content about 6 months ago, and then I went on like a gaming arc where I played through a bunch of video games. So I streamed a bunch of video games, but I'm starting to get back into it now. Yeah, but I've been around since the Red Pill people. Okay. Like, what kind of Red Pill people did you used to watch? Like the Andrew Tate type stuff, the Fresh and Fit, the Coach Red Pill, Andrew Wilson type guys. Thank you, Nile 1943. Thank you so much for the sub. Most of my like regular video content on YouTube is like reacting to philosophy-centric debates. Lots of that. I'm really interested in that stuff. Some of it is more specific to like political topics, but was doing mostly gaming until he ran into the buzzsaw that is Poison Ivy. Yeah. I was playing Batman Arkham Asylum on hard mode, got all the way to that Poison Ivy fight at the end, and oh my god, that's a crazy fight. We started the debate scene during Red Pill as well, and then switched to politics when I saw Andrew Wilson. Okay. I watched a lot of Andrew Wilson's stuff. You could say that I'm hate watching most of the time. Although I do like his debates when he's debating against like the Charlie Kirk conspiracy people. That's been like one of the few times recently that I've been like on his side in a debate, like one of the few times. I think he handles those people really well. Oh, you actually have met them IRL. That's cool. Like, obviously, I'm not a fan of Andrew, but I do think that he's the best conservative debater out there, pretty much, that I've seen, anyways. The pickle jar guy, yeah. It's the olive jar, but yeah, it's a pickle jar guy, yeah. You generally hate him, so GG's. Yeah, he's, look, he's... He is, I mean, he's a nasty, he's a good debater, but he's very good at the logic game type stuff. He's good at getting people to define terms, and then usually when they define the terms, he's able to spot contradictions in what they say. And then he's able to really fuck them up like that. Because most people are pretty vibes based about most of their worldview, and so if you don't have like a very well thought out, philosophically well-reasoned worldview, like with regard to metaphysics, epistemology, and ethics, and all that stuff, then he's going to be able to really be a headache for you. Not at all. He's a Jordan Peterson level of. Oh man, he's Andrew Wilson is a way better debater than Jordan Peterson, and he's way more coherent. It's funny that I sound like I'm defending him, because I'm a big anti-fan of Andrew Wilson. I watch a lot of his debates, but it's because like I'm like writing down his arguments and like coming up with counters to them and stuff. But I do think he's a good debater, but very I don't know. He could definitely be nasty, aggressive tactics, that type of thing. You'll defend the picker jar comments? Olives are pickles. Yeah, fair enough. That was a great one. Oh yeah. Andrew Wilson is way better than Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson is just not coherent anymore. Like, he is like Jordan Peterson, like, he's off on, he has like his own private language for what words mean. And then he'll say, well, first of all, he has his own private language for a lot of basic words like thought and prayer and worship and all these words they mean, and belief. Like, he has his own meaning for all these words. And then he'll throw in like all this philosophical jargon in addition to that. So like most of what Jordan Peterson is saying is like super encrypted and hard to follow, but it sounds like kind of poetic and like it's something super profound. But he's trying to be clear on definitions and stances on worldviews, because a lot of lefties are like a tube of toothpaste when debating. You put pressure on them and they shift and move. Yeah, no, I mean, I respect his debate abilities. And I think I would say Andrew is better faith than, like, Rob Noor is a good debater too, but I think Andrew is actually better faith than Rob Noor. Like, I've seen Rob do some shady stuff. Even though I know Rob is like Andrew's right-hand man, like his ride or die research guy. But man, Rob Noor is hard to deal with in debates. Like, oh, like even like he has strong suits more so than in some areas that Andrew doesn't. Like Rob has like super good recall. But with Rob, he'll twist like one or two words in something that he's quoting that completely changes the meaning in his favor, and it's so hard to catch. Like he's very I don't know if it's intentional or not, but I don't know. He doesn't provide definitions. He'll critique and be vague about his points, and if you indicate what he's implying, then he'll scurry away. He's a good debater in the sense of like a high school debater. This is why definitions are critical to define in debates. One person's definitions on a word would be completely different. Yeah, what I've noticed from Andrew's style is he'll stay, he's always able to kind of stay on the offensive. Like, pretty much always. Like, you'll never really see him on the defense. Like, he's always attack. Like, he'll have somebody define words, and then, he'll catch him in contradictions and making mistakes and stuff. And then they'll ask him a question. He'll be like, okay, I'll answer your question, but then you have to answer my question after. And then he'll give like a one-line answer, and then he's back on the attack again. Attack. And he's very good like that on managing to stay on the offensive and making people. He's also very good at doing something that you could kind of say, I've heard it be described as debate edging, where it's like, this is especially true with Andrew's like force doctrine thing. Where he'll make all these descriptive claims, right? That women are dependent on men for their rights, so they can't possibly be. He'll give like all these descriptive claims, like his force doctrine stuff, like rights are entitlements given to you by the government. You're ultimately men have to enforce them, this type of stuff. But he never gives like the quote unquote prescriptive claim, but every descriptive claim is pointing in one direction. So like his entire audience knows what the prescription is, that women should not be equal to men or whatever, but he never actually says it. And so, but he always like, the people he's debating always know that's what he's pointing at, and so they think he's actually said it, and then he can pick them apart because he, just from the fact that he never actually made the claim, it's all been quote unquote descriptive, but it's all like implying prescription. I know I didn't explain that very well, but what's the single claim he's made that he won't walk back on? Who, Andrew? The thing is, like, Andrew doesn't. He's very good. He doesn't make most of his debates, like, he doesn't make very many claims that can be like fact checked. He's very good at kind of avoiding that in a lot of situations. Now, some debates aren't like that. Some debates, especially like some of the feminist ones and stuff, he'll make fact claims. But he's very good at like kind of walking that fine line. I don't have any claim Andrew has made that he won't backtrack on because his claims and worldview is airtight. So generally, two people have to agree on a definition before having a debate about a topic. If he can't provide his own, then you're not having a debate. Yeah, so Andrew's kind of strategy is the internal critique method, where he will critique somebody else's worldview and try to avoid. He doesn't always like put forward his position on a particular issue. For instance, like if he debates if Trump is a fascist, he will have the other person define, what fascism is, and then Andrew likes to go off of the Giovanni Gentili definition, and it's very hyper-specific implementation definition of fascism, that only applies to specifically Italian fascism, and no other fascism. And so then if he gets the other person to accept his definition of fascism, then they've basically lost the debate. And then he can yeah, I mean, he's a tricky guy. He's a tricky guy. It's hard to, without having like one of his debates up, to point out exactly what I mean, but I can't believe I spelled made. Andrew would chew me out on that and claim it's an offensive stance. No, his Andrew's arguments are airtight. He's tried and tested them relentlessly. Yeah. I mean, he makes, without having like, his arguments in front of me at the moment, it's hard to critique him on the spot, but I would say that like his force doctrine position, like the main problem with it, like he conflates like the rights with the implementation and enforcement of rights, I think, is one of the problems with that position. He talks about women's value, and then he's got his wife. And it's funny, too, because, like, his wife she's not like a in-the-kitchen wife. I mean, she probably cooks and cleans for him, sure, but she's, like, she, like, jumps in on his debates and stuff. It's like, whoa, wait a second here. Like, if Andrew is talking shit to some feminist girl, then she'll want to like hop in there and go after her. I don't know. Rachel is like, in my opinion, she's like super aggressive. She has like a lot of feminist characteristics, to be honest. Like she's a very aggressive woman. What value has he talked about that contradicts with Rachel? Well, I would actually have to look up specific examples, but I think in general, Andrew is mostly against women educating or going to college and having careers and things like that. Whereas Rachel is published author and does online debates and travels around and things like that. Oh, I don't think that there is anything wrong with it. I just think that it's not. I think there's an asymmetry between like his general prescription for what women should be and what Rachel kind of is. Like she's, I don't know. I don't think she's like, she does not in any interaction ever come off as like a submissive type of character. She comes off as like very, very aggressive. Very, very aggressive. What's his stance? His stance is that women should be at home taking care of the children. They should have a lot of babies in their 20s because he thinks that the 30s are too late or getting too late, and he thinks that they should, at least at minimum, forego going to college to have children and that type of thing. I'm pretty sure that's his position. He's got a word doesn't watch his podcast. Rachel does it to prove a point. He never provided a definition for fascism. Oh, actually, he does. He does provide one. He goes with the Giovanni Gentili definition. Let me look that up real quick. Which is fascism's a totalitarian ideology that sees the state as the ultimate ethical and spiritual reality. State is not just a political or administrative body, it's the highest expression of human will, freedom, and morality. True individual liberty exists only through complete identification with and active participation in the ethical state, which embodies the nation's collective spirit. But the way that definition is structured, it only fits Italian fascism. Because the Nazis don't clearly fit that definition because they have that element of race built into it, as opposed to just the identification with the state. Anyways. Now, why do they have that position? Well, they have that position because well, I mean, the easy answer, of course, is because that's kind of like involved in the Christian worldview, but Andrew would support it with various pieces of data and statistics and stuff about women, the amount of women that are depressed or that are on antidepressants, like the 25% that was pointed out earlier and that type of thing. I don't have all of the information in front of me at the moment, but I know he does have Andrew has an entire course on feminism debate stuff on his debate course website. So he definitely has a lot of data accumulated and stuff about it. unfortunately, like the feminism topic in general is not something that I am by any means an expert in or have even read that much about. Just philosophically, for me, it's just more of a just like a philosophical position for me, like my view on it. So, but there are counter arguments, of course, to his positions. I don't think anything is wrong with his wife, but his general prescription for marrying women who's had a kid or kids with many other men, like his wife had, I don't think he'd ever promote that. Well, yeah, I mean, the thing is, actually, Andrew is not, like, completely a red pill guy. He's, under the Christian worldview or whatever, he's doing, like, a moral thing, taking care of her children and stuff. I don't think the definition provided by the opposition in that debate contradicts that. He does support men marrying women with children. He just doesn't recommend it because the chances of a successful marriage is low. Yeah, I've heard Andrew elaborate on that after because he debated, what's her name? Enemy Charlie. And then that whole thing came up towards the end of that debate about how he had children from other baby daddies that he's raising and stuff. But I think people do characterize him as like a fan of, or as like being roughly equivalent to the Fresh and Fit guys. And while he does agree with Fresh and Fit on like probably like 80 to 90% of things, that is one area where he doesn't. And also, Andrew's not in favor of men being promiscuous. Or women, for that matter. I want to see Andrew call his wife the things he called other women on the podcast. Andrew's actually against red pill. He thinks the red pill is a bunch of scriptures to modern day dating. I've heard him say that. But he he definitely agrees with him with regard to bashing the OnlyFans girls and stuff. He definitely agrees with them with those topics, but the funny thing is the red pill guys are incentivizing that behavior because they're wanting to sleep with all these girls. But if they found one of the girls and settled down or with them or whatever, then they would be off the market. I don't know. There's two sides to that entire issue, right? Like, it's a marketplace. It's as much the fault of guys like Clavicular as it is the girls, the OnlyFans side girls. Like, they're both quote unquote to blame for the state of dating or whatever, in my opinion. Doesn't hate the Tates either. Gives the same energy anyone gives him. It's interesting. Sometimes Andrew goes in hot on debates, but I don't know. Some days Andrew is really nice to people. It seems like real good faith and real nice, and then other times it seems like he's on the warpath. But maybe it is a matching energy thing. I'm not sure. Don't care for the Tates. Yeah, that we looked it up earlier. Apparently, they're facing some big charges in the UK. They're getting charged with raping multiple women there, choking them out, and then forcibly penetrating. Apparently, so serious charge, very serious charges. Time I see Andrew goes in hot on people, it's because they attacked him first. That might be the case. Jay Dyer is different. Jay Dyer is an asshole right from the start, almost always. So I don't know if you're a fan of his, but he's definitely way more ill-tempered and aggressive than Andrew, I would say. More mean-spirited. On their knees for them before the trial. I don't know how the Tates, they keep getting out of all these court cases somehow or another, but the UK seems to have it out for them. I know that Andrew Tate, he ran his mouth a few years ago on some podcast about how he didn't pay any taxes when he lived in the UK, and so they started going after him for that. One of his problems is that he sees himself like a untouchable mafia boss or something when he's like running his mouth on podcasts. It's like if a woman calls me a name and they're a feminist, I'm going to give them equality and call them a name back. Those some of those debates, he's had some good ones. He's had some good debates on the Whatever podcast. Like, I enjoy the ones he's had with Not So Erudite. That one there's one he had with Pixie that was really good too, actually. Tates can rot in jail for all I care. Not a fan. Yeah. It's crazy that I'm surprised as many conservatives like Andrew Tate as there are that do. Like, he's on podcasts bragging about, he's like the guy, he's like the OnlyFans pimp he's like literally the guy, it's like chatting to dudes, getting them horny so they give him more money. And they think it's the girl, but it's actually him. Like, he actually said that on a pod. Don't mind him giving the same energy, but wishy-washy on his stances is unrespectable. Is he wishy-washy on his stances? I mean, on his big stances, he's pretty consistent with like the Eastern Orthodox Christian stuff and the Force Doctrine and his feminist positions and pro-Trump. Although I did hear Andrew for the first time start to criticize Trump about Iran the other day. That was like the first time I've ever heard him start to criticize him a little bit. So that's kind of a good sign, I guess. All these red pill people were on their knees for Tate, and now they act like they didn't even know him once this trial began. Yeah. What do they call that? Fair weather friends, I think. A lot of fair weather friends. When you're chilling in your $40 million New York penthouse, which I think is what I saw that Andrew Tate bought, everybody wants to be your friend, and whenever you're in a prison cell for graping women in the UK, nobody wants anything to do with you. For sure. What is Andrew's understanding of what fascism is and a colloquial understanding of the word? It's hyper-specific to the Italian thing. Yeah, that's his... He goes back to the original definition of Giovanni Gentili and says that's the only legitimate definition of the word, even though historians have since broadened the scope of the definition. Such that, you know, that one disqualifying element of identifying completely with the state, you know, that's not the mandatory part of the definition. They've decided, so they've included more groups into fascism than that. But I wouldn't call any Debate Bros stance firm. They like to play with framing too much. Never been a fan of Tate. What part of Christianity is pro-Trump? Well, I mean, Trump is definitely not a Christian. Like, I doubt he would even be... I don't even know if he would be able to answer, like, what book of the Bible that Jesus is in, to be honest. Remember whenever they asked him what his favorite book of the Bible was, he's like, oh, you know, they're all great. I like them all equally, or something like that. I do think there were some things that Tate said that were true, but I was never a fan of the get rich, get buff, or you're not a man take. Yeah, with Andrew Tate, it's all like very superficial stuff. I'm sure he does have some good stuff in there. If there was no element of truth in it, there has to be some element of truth in what some of the stuff he says to get to that level, you know, or something at least useful or pragmatically useful. Trump was the best option for conservatives. Well, Mamdani has more pro-Christian values than Trump. Probably true. Is he, is Mamdani Muslim? Yeah, he's Muslim. Anyways, guys, I've unfortunately got to get to sleep. I got to be up for work in about 5 hours. It's been very nice chatting with all of you. I need to learn more about the Middle East and the feminism argument stuff. I'm going to watch that debate with Rachel and Not So Erudite as well. I'm sure I'll be able to get a lot of Andrew and Rachel's arguments off of that to be able to articulate their positions better on those issues. Yeah, thanks for hanging out, everybody. Jesus gave free healthcare, is all you're saying? More on Zamdani is 100% Muslim. How have I never heard anybody say that before? Moron Zamdani. Oh my god. When are you getting back on? It's a good conversation? Maybe tomorrow, maybe the next day, maybe Tuesday. Maybe Tuesday. I'd like to... The next debate I watch, I want to prepare for it better so I'm more knowledgeable on the topics going into it. I can give a little bit better commentary. Is it end of stream? Yeah. I'm about to end the stream now. I've been on for almost 4 hours. So yeah, about to end it. Got to get up for work in 5 hours. So GG y'all.